Hello and welcome to episode 88 of inpswetrust, a PlayStation podcast. My name's Davey and joined with me, as always, is the fine wine himself, Mr. Philip Hoy.
To me, my X-Men.
And the more for this podcast, Spencer Davis. How you doing, my friend?
Good, mate. Yes, lads. Love the little X-Men reference there, Phil. I'm yet to see it, the new 97. So I'm hoping it's good.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet either. I am looking forward to watching it. And I do hope that Morph, or as he's often known, Morph, when Wolverine always says it, I hope that he makes an appearance back. I haven't watched anything. I don't really know who's there other than my boy Cyclops. But this is not an X-Men 97 podcast. This is a PlayStation podcast. Let's bring it back on track. What have we got in store for you today, listeners? Well, we got an absolute juicer. Say it every goddamn episode, and I'm going to continue to say it until the day when the PlayStation news runs dry, and today is not that day, my friends. We have a stacked show ahead. We're going to go through the normal run of the show in terms of a hypothetical question. We'll pluck out the air for the enjoyment of you all. Then we're going to move it on into what we've been playing, take a saddle over into quick news, where we got a stack of news to go through, and then we're going to end the show with a topic. And this topic, basically a redo of what Sony have been tweeting the last couple of weeks in terms of their game off. So we're voting for the favourite game out of a whole list of competitors, but we will get to that right at the end of the show and we will put things right. Because their list is pretty good, actually. It's not too bad, but we can do it better. We got a long old way till then. First off, guys, question time. And I got a pretty decent one with you, and I'll give you the background to this before we dive into it. So me and the missus, we were on the sofa, we're watching a bit of Prison Break. We're working our way through. We're on season 4. It's a little bit slow at the moment. It's not the best Prison Break has to offer, not going to lie. And we're sitting there, and then I just turned around to the missus and I said, isn't it weird that like people thought about senators and stuff back in the day, and they thought like, oh, what would happen if a man was crossed with a horse or whatever? And she was like, yeah, it's a bit weird. And I was like, what would be like the worst combo that you can imagine? Like, what would just be horrific? And we spilled off into what became like a 2-hour conversation. Now, guys, I don't want to go that long, but I'm going to ask you guys the same question. If a man could cross with any other species, which would be the worst combo? Take it anywhere you want. Could be funny, could be just doesn't work very well, could just be horrific. However you want to come up with it. Spence, over to you first.
Okay, so I've tried to think of things for this for a while. I can't think of too many creative ones. Immediately, just a reverse centaur is dodgy. If it was a human body and a horse head, horrific.
That's
If it was
bad.
the other way around. And then I was thinking, oh, well, what about fish? It's like, yeah, but then you get mermaids, and you know, you can't go wrong with mermaids. So I'm thinking a different type of fish. Whales.
Whales ain't a fish.
Well, that's whatever they are. They're mammals, sure, but they're freaking massive and they swim.
Okay.
So they're a fish, lad. Don't say whales aren't fish.
They're not a fish.
That's crazy. They're 100% a fish. Mate.
We live in Wales. You should know more about Wales than any other country in the planet. I know they're spelled
It's a
differently.
different kind of whales, lad.
It is.
If you're getting that confused, you're from here too.
So how would this whale-man hybrid work? Talk me through this.
It would just be a massive whale, but then it'd have little human legs at
Right,
the bottom of it for when it wants to go on land. And it can't because it dies. It's just, yeah, you got a little, instead of a massive whale penis, you got a little human one.
So it would cut off like halfway down the whale. So you'd have like the big like dorsal fin on the back and then cut off into normal legs. Is that how it would
I think
work?
it's just a full-size whale. Just at the bottom of it, in the middle, there's a little pair of legs and they just stick out.
And that's all we bring to the table, just legs. Out of that cross-pollination. The whale doesn't get like super intelligence or anything like that. It's just a whale with legs.
Well, I'm sure it'd be smarter, yeah. But we wouldn't give much more because I think the life expectancy of a whale and a human is generally the same.
Okay.
It might just be. It might look like an albino whale or something, because it'd look like a human. Or we'd get black whales. I guess they exist, but like different.
Okay.
I think it'd be cool, but it'd be nothing really would change, other than maybe they can't breathe underwater.
They can't
I dunno.
anyway. They can't. You don't understand
Bro.
whales, bro. This is all that's coming out of this. First you think they're a fish, and now you're saying that they'll lose their ability to breathe underwater. They can't. They take a
No, but
big,
they
deep
can
breath and
hold
then they
their
go up.
breath. Yeah, but
Yeah.
how long can they hold their breath under that water? Not
Long
way longer
time.
than humans.
Yeah.
Where they get human lungs.
So all that happens in this scenario is we just downgrade the whale from its natural self. We just
Bro.
ruin their ability to do what they normally do as a whale.
They get nerfed abysmally. Yeah, it's horrific. But I think that's what would happen. I think that's the worst thing. If I could cross with anything, for one, I can't swim. Again, don't want to be a whale. Absolutely not. Maybe I'd learn to swim. That'd be nice.
You would, yeah. That would surely be innately built in you. I'm just thinking that fair play to the bloke who goes down and shags a whale, or the woman who gives birth to this whale-human hybrid, right? So it's got to be one of two ways. Either the whale's giving birth or the person is. So, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about it. If a whale, say they did cross over and they got our level of thought, right? Our brain. But obviously they're fucking massive, right? So they got a huge old noggin. If they had like our brain, but it was scaled up to being a whale, I imagine that whale can do like telekinesis, telepathy. Like it would just start running amok. And you think if that whale, if it was like somebody who was like mega woke and cared about the planet, and they got into like a half whale human hybrid form, with this whale's got super intelligence, there's no more like oil rigs at sea. That whale would be a pest, bro. And it would know that it can't get wiped out because it's an endangered species. So it would start going on the rampage and nobody could do anything about it. And they're like, oh, fucking hell, it's Whale Willie over there. I don't know, just giving it a human name and a bit of alliteration. And he's just
Willy.
Whale Willy.
There's already a whale called Willy in
That's
Free
true.
Willy.
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah.
Whale Willy. The human whale, Whale Willy.
Yeah. And
Literally a whale's name, yeah.
He's just on the rampage. He's on the rampage. Okay. Well, we'll part that one. I do quite like that. Unless, Phil, have you got any thoughts about Whale Willy, the male human whale hybrid?
Whale.
Whale.
No, not really, but I can kind of understand that, Spencer, he can't swim, so he's dived in and chose the biggest fish of the ocean, really, or the biggest mammal of the ocean. Let's be, scientifically correct about whales before Davey jumps in and tries to correct me here. And yeah, I could kind of see it working. A big fat whale with Spencer's face on the front, maybe. He'd be better at swimming than Spencer is now, I suppose. But just to go back to your Prison Break comment, yeah, that season did get a little stale, didn't it? I think Michael Schofield, he ran out of tattoos in season 4, didn't he? He couldn't bring up that same old trick season after season where he thought, do you know what, I've got a little bit more where we could get out of this place.
Well, the annoying thing is the season starts off and he gets all his tattoos burnt off him. And yet he constantly wears a long sleeve top, so you'd never know he had them burnt off. It's like, why did they even bother? Like, why did they even go down this line? They might as well just kept them on him and just kept him in a button-up shirt. He's already put on 4 stone this season. He's massive compared to what he was. He's huge. I don't know what they were thinking. They were on a madness.
With Prison Break, definitely season 1, great. I think after that, it's just a downward slope, and unfortunately, so you haven't got a lot to look forward to with the rest of that season. Not to spoil your evenings with your missus, but I definitely recommend you go and watch The Expanse. That's what you should be watching. You did say you were going to watch that for me. You recommend video games, and look where I am. I'm on a PlayStation podcast. I'm on one of the world's biggest PlayStation podcasts now. Our subscribers are ballooning, both on Spotify and on YouTube. So if you have got this far into the show, make sure you subscribe or leave us a comment. So yeah, I'm doing pretty well. I've played a whole range of games, and now I recommend some TV for you, Davey. So you need to level up. Expanse is next on your list.
Certainly is. That and Game of Thrones. That's the combo. It's one of those two I'm going to watch. So, Expanse, I'm thinking though.
Nice. And in terms of leveling up, I can understand why you and your missus were saying, what happens if we mate with a horse? Because those things are huge. You know what I'm talking about. That would give you a good couple of extra inches, mate. That would do you well, I think. You'd be walking around like a tripod, an extra leg, if you like, if you were mating with a horse.
Can you imagine the things I'd want if I got the senator genes, right? Say I banged a horse and it produced this half human, half horse hybrid. That kid would be entering every single Special Olympics because he's not normal, but he'd cruise, he'd absolutely bust everyone at the Special Olympics, dude. He wouldn't be able to enter normal ones because, you know, it'd be classed as disabled, I guess. I don't know.
He would have the four legs of a horse and the torso of a human, or would it be the other way round where he'd have the body of a human and the head of a horse? Because I've been on a couple of stag do's and nights out, and I've seen people walking around with the mask of a horse, and that looks hilarious. So imagine that in real life where they've actually got the head of a horse.
Yeah, I think in that combination, what do you gain from that? The ability to eat grass? I mean, in a survival situation.
Nay!
That's all you really get out of that deal is that ability. So, and to be able to, like, people feed you apples and they feed it in a really specific way with the horse. You've always got to have your hand like this, right? You don't do that with like any other creature. Like if I'm chucking something to the dog and just chuck it on the floor, or cats put it in a bowl, but horse is like, nah, you gotta go up, and otherwise he's gonna bite your hand off. And my dad being like, your thumb's gone if you fuck this up. So you just learn such a young age to feed a horse like this. You don't do that with anything else. I don't feed my kid like this. Please God, I want my hand back.
That is a strange one, isn't it? That is a strange one. It's one of those things that like every kid, especially in the UK, I think, maybe it's just a UK thing, but every child would understand how to feed a horse that you do it with a flat hand. It's weird, isn't it? It's a weird thing that like everywhere you just get taught that. I've never met anyone who didn't know how to feed a horse.
Yeah, I've met somebody who's like, oh yeah, I lost my thumb. Why? Horse biting accident. Didn't have my hand flat.
I've got a situation for you here, Davey. I have met someone who lost their thumb to a horse. But it wasn't for them biting it off. It was because they had tied the rope around their hand and around their thumb, and the horse just bolted and ripped the thumb off.
Oh shit!
Wow.
Oh, that's
I know.
worse.
I wasn't there. I just brought it up because I noticed this girl didn't have a thumb, and I was like, "What happened to your thumb?"
Disaster.
Oh,
and she lost it to a horse. I don't know where it ended up. I don't know if the horse then. But I don't know. She lost the thumb. Gone.
Jesus.
Gone.
fucking hell. That's got to be worse than having it bitten off as well.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I don't know which one. I don't know how strong their bite is, but I imagine if they chomped it, it would hurt. I can't imagine it would take it off. Like in one, I imagine it's probably a few to get through bone. I don't know. They only eat apples and that, right? I don't know how strong their bite is.
The core of an apple's pretty tough. Have you ever tried biting into one of those?
I wouldn't have thought it's harder.
I don't know if it's the same level as bone.
No.
I don't know. But the girl in question didn't go, do you know what? I've lost one thumb, so I need to even it out, or otherwise I'll walk around in circles. So here you go, horse. Do you want a carrot? No, she didn't do that. She just lived the rest of her life with just the one thumb.
Wild.
Anyway, I should probably go back to your question. We've gone off track a little bit, right? So my animal that I'm thinking about here, I'm going to go with the bear. Purely because this was brought into question in our last hypothetical. You boys were going into the ring, fists up, ready to fight that bear. I'm going into the ring with a different idea. Boom, chicka, wow, wow. Imagine being the guy that gets the bear powers, okay? You're super strong. You never get woke up by the missus because you're hibernating. You can't wake a bear up. They sleep brilliantly. Nothing wakes them up. They're always warm. They've got a thick coat of fur on them. But the only drawback is that you would have a craving for picnic baskets.
all that. He's built up to that. That was. He's been thinking about that for hours.
Yeah. All through Spence's, whale choice there. I was thinking about a joke about Yogi Bear.
Jesus.
What a throwback.
There it is. Yes, mating with a bear.
So what would make that the worst combo? because I can only see advantages for whatever this bear child is. You know, the bear, as I mentioned on the last episode, it's got every single advantage nature could give it. And then with our intellect, the only possible way this could be worse is for the rest of humankind who has to know that there's this superior species amongst us.
Well, the way I was going is that they would always have a craving. And cravings throughout life, they tend to spoil people, don't they? They tend to focus too much on that craving, and their whole life becomes about said thing. Be that drugs, be that alcohol, be that any kind of addiction that you have in life. And this poor lad that's growing up, okay, he's super strong. He never gets woke up by the missus, and he's always warm because he's got that thick coat. But he's always got that in the back of his head. Picnic baskets. Picnic baskets. Picnic baskets. And he sees one, he's breaking laws. You know, that's how addicted he is. I've seen the Yogi Bear cartoons, right? He commits crimes. He basically teaches children to commit crimes at a young age. If you want something, just go up and steal it. He put the cake on the windowsill. Yogi Bear is walking up. He's a thief, mate. He's a thief. He knew what he was doing. He thought about nothing else than putting it in his stomach. But is it his pie? No, not at all. It's the park ranger's pie. But that's teaching children to steal. So there's the problem. That's why it's the worst. If you get those bear powers, you can't suppress that craving for picnic baskets or pies that the park ranger leaves out.
Fucking hell. You'd have to get a job in like Subway or something, wouldn't you? Just so that you can at least nick all the leftovers that are around. You'd have to find a way to, you know, like when vampires in movies where they're trying to like get along with humans and they're like eating like rat blood or whatever to try and like
they always
stay away
seem
from
to
it.
Work in the doctors, don't they?
Yeah,
it's weird, right? Like, it's probably not the most, you know, best place for you to be because you're always just tempting fate a little bit, aren't you? If you're a vampire and you're working next to the blood donation van, ooh, maybe go in there for a little bite. No, you should probably remove yourself from those cravings. That's what I'm talking about with the bear. You'd have to remove yourself from any possibility of those cravings. So if you walk past a Greg's, you're gone. Over. Straight to jail.
Game over.
Game over.
Game
Greg's
over.
Gone. So you want to stick to the other side of the highway. You know, you want to be looking in the other windows where you don't see those cravings, mate. Stick away from it. It's a slippery slope.
It is a slippery. I can't imagine trying to avoid sandwiches, picnic paraphernalia my entire life. It'd be horrific. The beach, no go. The woods, no go. All places where as a bear you would thrive. You can't go there. So you'd have to probably go out into the sea and then you'd encounter, you know, Willie the Whale.
Spence as a whale.
Yeah, it's probably the only safe place. Well, yeah, I like that one. I like that one a lot. It's a good one. For me, I'm thinking about what would be like the most horrific. And I think there's loads, right? There's some fucking awful ones. But there's horrific in loads of different ways. And the worst one that I can think of is just slug. Is literally just crossing with a slug, because you'd be, what I imagine it is, you're just a human-sized slug, and that's about it, really. So you got your head, giant, with your normal intellect, so you know, fucking hell, why did Dad shag a slug? You know, like, what was he doing? How did this happen? And he just...
Surely it's the other way around. Surely you're a slug shagged your mum. If you're a human-sized slug.
Ah, yeah. I suppose otherwise you could have burst out. It could be like in an alien film or something, where you burst out at the female slug, and then you're tiny, and then you just like kind of just grow like really fast, and next thing you know, so you basically you've lost your ability to like move fast. Garden pellets and going through gardens is like your new life now. Everywhere you go, you leave a trail, so you couldn't ever commit a crime because they could just follow it straight back to you. You're proper limited, but you can regenerate quite well. So if you got chopped in half, you'd be all right. But then I think, well, how often does that happen? Maybe it's a human-sized slug crossing the road. Maybe it's an everyday occurrence. I don't know. But you'd be horrific. The life would be miserable. And you can never have salt because you just die and fizzle up.
That's true.
It fucking sucks, man. Like, slugs are such a waste of a creature. It's like someone just thought, what the fuck? We got all these leftover. Just chuck this slime ball together that somehow is alive. It's like, and they're everywhere as well. And you like bring them in off the floor, and they're like all dry on the bottom of your shoe, and you just chuck it out the window, and it moves faster than it's ever going to move in its entire life. When that throw. And you know they're all right because they just don't ever seem to die unless they eat garden pellets. So you'd be pretty much immortal.
Probably quite hard to tell them apart, though. You know, you get that slug and you wind her up, throw it to the end of the garden, and then you walk down to check you haven't committed murder. Right? Been watching those 80s cartoons again. You walk over to the slug. Oh, just fine. He's just slithering around. Could be a different slug. They don't really look too different, do they? I'm not saying they all look the same because we'll get them writing in. Can't go down that route.
Yeah, you don't be speciesist,
Speciesists. Yeah, we've been accused of quite a lot in these 88 episodes, and speciesists, that isn't one we've been accused of yet, so we're treading on very thin ice here, boys.
Very true. But anyone got any thoughts on my slug man combo before we move it on?
Well, I've got a question for you. Have you ever had a missus that sort of moisturizes before bed?
Yeah. Yeah, they all seem to do it. They all seem to do it.
There we go. Next time that happens, when you roll over and you give her a hug, you're hugging a slug because she's all slimy in your bed. It's a slug woman. So there, I planted that in your mind, right? So next time it happens, you're going to have a fright of your life.
Jesus Christ.
Slug women.
Slug women, man. The next step down the rabbit hole. I bet you they'd give top notch though. Slug women.
You reckon?
Wild. Oh yeah, wild.
I don't think they would, mate. No.
Don't think so?
They got no hands.
No.
They got one big foot though, Spence, and you're into feet.
Giant foot, yeah.
Do they have a foot? Is it a foot or is it?
It is a
just
foot, yeah. It's one big foot. One giant slimy foot.
Oh yeah, no, I'll pass. I think.
Well, you don't know until you've tried it, mate. Don't cut your nose off.
You're having too much fun with it, mate.
Fucking hell. I can't believe the big thing that's come out of this topic is that we finally reached a point where Spence says no. You know, it's taken 88 episodes, and normally everything gets a look in. You know, fish women, we were talking about them, and they're kind of, they're like deep sea creatures. We're like, yeah, all right, yeah, fuck up. But 88 episodes later, slug women is the limit. That's where we draw the line. Okay, wow. It's good to know. Good to know. Well, listeners, I'd love to know what you think. What is the worst possible human hybrid that you can think of? Write in, let us know. pswetrust@gmail.com or hit us up on any of the socials. Now let's move it on to what we've been playing.
This time on NPS We Trust, what have the boys been playing?
So guys, it's been 2 weeks since the last podcast episode, and I'm desperate to know what you've been up to in that time. Spence Davis, we always start with yourself. What have you been playing?
Sure. So I'm going to go on a tangent right here because I'm fucking pissed off, boys. I've been playing, well, everyone knows my favorite game of all time was almost overthrown by Ragnarok. It might still be Ragnarok, but it's always been Last of Us 1. Always. And I finally got Last of Us Part 1, the PS5 version, back off my friend and friend of the show, Dayman, because he's beaten it and got the platinum. I got it back. I thought, you know what? I need the platinum on this game. It's one of my favorite games. I need to do it. Sit down and do it. 100% of the game. Trophy progress, 67%. No platinum, even though I've done everything. Literally everything. On the chapter select, tells me all my collectibles, says I've got all of them. Trophy tracker says I'm missing 3 comics. Says I'm missing like 40 collectibles. It's just not tracked with the game for some reason. So I now need to restart the entire game, completely delete my save, and do all of it again if I want that platinum.
That is so
Ouch.
annoying. Did you look online? Is this like a thing that has happened to a few people now?
It's happened to a few people, but mostly at launch of the game. And apparently, Naughty Dog were actually quite good at fixing it and responding to people. But since then, nothing. People usually haven't been getting the issue, and the people that have been, no one can help. There's nothing to do other than apparently restart your save. But sometimes even that doesn't do it because the trophy trackers know
Wow.
you've done things. And I did the whole playthrough using PlayStation cards, the in-game help, so I didn't have to use a guide. Now that it thinks I've collected everything, I can't use them anymore for my next run because that won't reset.
You'll have to start a new account and start all over again. Your whole PlayStation journey is erased now. Delete it all, and you have to start again, Spence. And guess who's got more trophies than you then?
Fuck.
Bro,
Piss take.
I am fucking so sorry. There's not a feeling worse than having like something like this happen, and it's a worry whenever there's like a trophy when you go for it and it doesn't pop, and you think, huh? Like, what is it? There's like a feeling. It's really hard to describe, but it's kind of like it's like a betrayal, but it's not that bad. But it feels like that, right? And to know that there is no comeback for this, that potentially you might just be fucked, is horrific. So the choices then, are you going to do that? Are you going to delete the save and go back through? Or are you thinking, well, fuck it, put it to bin?
At the moment, it's in the fucking bin. I can't be asked. I've beaten Last of Us 1 like 12 times. And as much as I adore it, enough is enough. I've just beaten it again. I've just beaten Left Behind twice. I am not doing it again. At least not for now. So maybe in the future, maybe when part 3 is announced, because it definitely will be, maybe I'll do it then. But as it currently stands, not a chance.
What about when they remake it again? You could just play it and get that platinum, and then that'll be fine, right? You'll have a Last of Us platinum then, won't you? Or you could buy another one of the little trophies, put on your shelf, and you could just engrave it with Last of Us on there, and then you'd physically have it, and you'd know in yourself that you had platinumed it on PlayStation.
It's true. It's true. Or what they could do if they remake it again is just let you transfer your save. Because that's all they had to do, because I've got the platinum. But instead, they said, you have to start again. You have to.
I suppose then that leaves them open to you giving me your save and me getting the platinum, you giving your save to someone else and them getting the platinum. I think they could just reuse that then if they allowed that type of stuff.
Yeah, but most games do. Ghost of Tsushima did with Director's Cut. Death Stranding does with Director's Cut.
Yeah,
I guess this is the fault with trophies then, boys.
It is, yeah.
None of them are equal and none of them really mean anything. Whoa.
But ignoring Phil's comment to get us all riled up, yeah, chucking that bait out. I'm not going to bite. I'm going to look at that, ignore it.
It's a picnic basket with your name on it, Davey. Come on.
It is. I didn't shag that bear, thank God, or my parents didn't, or one of my parents isn't a bear. Anyway, Spence, which would you prefer to do? Would you prefer to go back and delete your save and go back through this whole journey again, collecting everything, or the kind of grind that you had to do for the PS4 version of Last of Us Part 1?
The PS4.
Really?
Easy.
Wow.
Yeah, 100%. For one, that actually was fun in the end because I started to enjoy the game mode, and two, it's a sure thing. I know it's going to pop. Mm-hmm. Whereas with this, I might delete my save and it might happen again. I've been really pissed off for days because of this. So I would go back to the PS4 easy immediately.
Joe, I know it doesn't count, but just for you, I'm going to say you've got it. Ooh, that's a platinum. Does that help?
It's a slow clap.
Yeah, did it help, or did that actually just add more like
it's a half clap?
Yeah, more salt into the wound. What did that do?
Do you know what, mate? Fucking that. I'm looking at this every day. It's salt in the wound, mate. Absolute salt in the wound. I'm fucking livid, man. I'm so annoyed. Why that game? Why couldn't it have been any other game that I didn't care about? Why is it Last of Us?
Does that then ruin trophies now for other games that you're going to try and get the platinum for? Because you'll think, well, if I put all that extra effort into getting that platinum, it might not pop. Are you disillusioned by trophies, or are you still the same? Are you still going to be fighting for trophies moving forward?
I'd say I'm still the same, just because this is a bit of a different case. For new games, I'm definitely still the same, because trophies encourage you to experience more of the game, play it maybe a way that you weren't playing it before, try everything the game has to offer, or generally that's the case. So even if there isn't a platinum, I think it's still worth going for trophies, because it lets you properly experience the game. But with this, I've already experienced everything in the game. I've already platinumed it. It should have been an easy job. Alas. Oh, fuck it. Oh, I was so annoyed, boys. I was so annoyed. I was on Reddit for hours trying to figure out. Oh, sick of it. But this story does have at least a slightly happy ending. Because I was pissed off with Last of Us. I thought, well, I need something else. And there's a game that we've all been playing that I was very close to getting the platinum on. And since then, I have achieved it. And that is the platinum for Helldivers 2.
Ooh, that's a platinum.
Yes.
Well done, my friend. I was there. I was there the moment you got it. And it was a glorious moment indeed. So really, really well done. Really, really well done. Does that mean that your journey with Helldivers is over? Or are you still going to be dropping down and supporting Super Earth?
I was playing the next day. I was playing the day after that. And I'll tell you, I'll be playing every day after.
Good
Until
lad.
something new replaces it, it ain't going anywhere. It is the game of games. Oh, Helldivers 2. Oh, 10 out of 10.
We've all been absolutely jacking off Helldivers every single week on this podcast, and today is no different. I mean, I'm not going to say an awful lot about Helldivers. All I'm going to say is that I'm so close to fucking Platty. I could taste it, bro. I could taste it. But it's not happened yet. So I will keep on dropping down. I will keep on ascending the ranks. But as of yet, that platinum just out of arm's reach. Very, very close indeed. But well done on achieving it, mate. Really, really well done.
Well done, Spence.
Cheers, boys.
Now, Phil, what about yourself? What have you been playing? How has Prince of Persia been treating you?
Well, I had a few words to say about Helldivers as well before I move on to Prince of Persia, because I've got a quick update on that one as well. I know I talk about it every couple of weeks, so you're due for a little bit more Prince of Persia news coming soon. We'll talk about Helldivers first, because I haven't had as much time as I'd like to be playing Helldivers, but I have had a few play sessions with you boys. And I just wanted to bring up the fact that it's funny that this game is so damn popular, okay? And it's popular outside of the gamer chat that I'm normally part of within work, within social environments. I'm hearing a lot of people talk about Helldivers. And I think that's really showing the kind of transition from a strange indie game that maybe a few people had heard of previously to this now big title, big IP that a lot of people are loving. And I've heard a lot of people talking and saying how much they struggle with like level 6s, level 5s, and I'm there, big smug smile on my face, because we've been doing quite well recently, haven't we, boys? On the aliens, on the Tyranids, okay? So we've been doing 7s and 8s, and it's been a good challenge. It's been entertaining playing with you boys on those levels. But those automatons, they are bloody tough to be fighting, and they have been causing us problem after problem. So I could imagine when these people have been diving in, they haven't been, you know, as a strong a team as I've had with the PlayStation Nation, because I think dropping in solo it is a much more daunting kind of situation to find yourself in, dropping into a 6, fighting the automatons solo. But guys, I have put a short out on my solo channel. Just wanted to put a quick shout out to that one where I did my top 5 weapons that I have been using on Helldivers. I'm still on my kind of standard railgun, recoilless rifle, grenade launcher kind of rotation. But go watch my channel, listeners and viewers, because you won't believe what the other 2 are.
I like it.
That's class.
He's seasoned. He's a seasoned little content creator, isn't he now? He's, you know, on the podcast for 88 episodes. It seeps into your blood. It does. You'll see me start shouting out. I'll make some tenuous link now to a game I've been playing. I'm sure on on my YouTube. Just chuck that out there as well. It's the way it's got to be done. You got to play the game.
Davey, you've got a YouTube? I don't think anyone's heard about this one.
I'm not getting into this, mate. I've been doing this for too long.
Okay, doke. Well, I'm only just starting. I've got 16 subs, so I'm very much on the up at the moment. I've released a couple of little shorts. They're only a minute long, so it doesn't take you long to scroll through 4 of them. But I would ask you to like each one and comment on them and say Phil sent you from the podcast. It'd be much appreciated. But just to move this on from the shameless self-promotion, we'll move on to Prince of Persia. And guys, hold that button because it's not a platinum, but I have completed the game. I have put it to bed for the amount of time that I want to spend with this game. I have finished the main story, and I'm going to give it a straight 9 out of 10. It is a very, very, very good game. It's a very, very good Prince of Persia because there's been some ups and downs within the series. I've loved a few and I've really hated a few, but this one is definitely at the sort of top echelon. You never know, I might do a top 5 of Prince of Persia at some point, and this one would heavily feature. Davey, I think this is definitely one for you because you love your Metroidvania. Spence probably need to swerve this one. I don't think you're as big a fan as maybe Davey and myself with these styles of games. I did look at the platinum because I know you boys just dying to ask about platinum. So there's still a bunch of things to collect, pointlessly going around the map, collecting this, collecting that. It doesn't add anything. I've been to everywhere. I've got every skill. I've made every jump. Killed every boss. But yeah, just collecting petals and, I don't know, necklace pieces. So yeah, I'm not so worried about that. And then there is a final, probably quite challenging actually from what I've read, mission called the Impossible Climb, which I might still have a crack at. That looks quite entertaining. So you've got a section in the game where you have to traverse these kind of moving objects within the sky. They've got spikes on the top, spikes on the bottom, and you can only jump off the walls, and you've got to collect 3 bells as you do it. But from what I've read, that's probably the hardest part of the game, so I might give that a crack at some point. But that would be the only reason to sort of go back to the Prince of Persia. But my question to you boys, what is next on PS5? I did bring this up on my Twitter a few days ago, and I had people coming back to me saying, maybe Alan Wake. Davey, I think you were the one that suggested that. One of our listeners, Lurian, the hot dog himself, said Alone in the Dark is where you want to be putting your time. But I know The Expanse has got a bit of DLC that maybe, an hour or 2 to be able to play that. Ragnarok as well has some DLC, which I haven't played yet. I thought this is the perfect time because I have pre-ordered Stellar Blade, guys. I'm really interested in that game, so looking forward to when that one comes out, and that's very, very soon. So I've got a short window of time now where I need a PlayStation 5 game to put my time when we're not all together playing Helldivers because you boys are off either drinking or with women.
My choice on this, I think, is one of 2, and I think you take this wherever you want to go with it. If you want a short experience that is genuinely immense, Stray. You haven't played it. We bought it for you like when it first came to its physical release. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic game, one of the best this generation as far as I'm concerned. I love it, and I think that you could play that over like 2 sittings with the time that you have and be done with it and just have a fucking immense experience. Or you go for Alan Wake and you have 12 to 15 hours of pretty mediocre game, but with a great story and a great premise, and it gears you up for number 2, which you will fucking love. So you've either got 15 hours of pain to get into like 25 hours of love, or 6 hours of pure joy. That's my 2.
This is my problem. I've got to go through the pain before I get the pleasure with Alan Wake, don't I? And I think with Stray, I am swaying more towards that game, actually, because I think it could fit into the timescales. But then Expanse and sort of Ragnarok DLC as well, that's kind of like a possibility because it's all free and all available, and they're only a small investment of time. But I don't know if you've got any thoughts on that one, Spence. Where would you be putting your time if you've got Stellar Blade knocking on your door very, very soon?
See, immediately my thought...
Straight to the bedroom.
Yeah, trust me. I'm going to be borrowing that when you're done, by the way. Immediately, I thought, yeah, Stray. We bought him Stray so long ago. Get Stray done. And it's easy, really. Yeah, 2 sit-ins. Job's done. And you're just a little cat. It's lovely. Lovely game. And its story's so beautiful and gripping, and the pacing's really well done. It's just a brilliant game. But other games you could play, I don't know. Valhalla, I think, would definitely be worth your time, the DLC, and it's really short. It really depends how much you want to get out of it, because obviously you just keep replaying it. But it won't take you more than 6 hours, I think, to get through probably everything. So I'd say, yeah, Stray or Valhalla, mate. They're both 6 hours.
There you go. I think the votes are in, so I guess it's straight then. I'll be digging into that, and then in 2 weeks I'll let you know what I think about that before I jump into bed with Eve. There has been another console which I'll lightly touch on because this is a PlayStation podcast, but I believe it came out on PlayStation years ago. I've just finished off SteamWorld Dig on my Steam Deck. I think this came out around 10 years ago, so it's one of the ones that was on my sort of back catalogue and I've been diving into while I've been on my travels. It's a perfect game when you want to sort of just play 30 minutes, 20 minutes when you're maybe on a train or, you know, you're travelling from A to B. Finished the end boss, and actually fairly challenging, I think, the end boss. It took me a couple of attempts to do, but I'm happy to say that one's ticked off on the deck. And then again, I've got the same sort of question. What's next on the deck, if I can get my words out? Has anyone actually played SteamWorld's, you know, any of the other games? Because I think they've broadened the kind of SteamWorld universe. There's a SteamWorld Dig 2. I think there's kind of like a tower defense game. I think they've got like a world building game in the SteamWorld universe. I don't know if that's touched anyone yet, but I'm very much open to suggestions. This isn't just for the boys, because I know PC side of things. Spence, you're probably a little more knowledgeable than Davey on this one. But viewers, definitely let me know. I need a game that I can sort of dip in, you know, 20 minutes here, half an hour there when I'm traveling about, but something that is deck ready. Spence, I don't know if there is any suggestions from your side.
I'd say like your classic Skyrim kind of game, man. I know they're long, but like 20 minutes in and out of Skyrim, I think that's quite fun. And you could mod the hell out of it as well. Proper make it a little play around session, stuff like that, and play it in a way that you couldn't on any other device really, other than a computer. And you could just mod the shit out of it. You can be Goku now.
There we go. So you want me to make another sale for Skyrim?
Yeah.
That's why it's in the charts, because of these kind of recommendations. The next thing you're going to make me play is what's always coming up in the charts that we're just really confused it's in there? GTA. Why aren't I playing GTA on my Steam Deck, you know?
Yeah, fuck.
Good.
Fucking hell.
Great game. I'll tell you what, the other game, the one game I would recommend, I would just sincerely recommend, Risk of Rain 2.
Oh, that sounds a bit more interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of like a roguelike where you start, you get these powers, you pick up items, you get stronger as you go on, and you progress through different worlds and try to get as far as you can. And it's brilliant. Kills 20 minutes like that, and it is a very well-regarded roguelike. Everyone adores it. So I definitely suggest that, or like Hades kind of game.
Those are the type of games that I'm looking for on the Steam Deck. I don't want the big kind of AAA kind of standard of games. I leave those for the PlayStation unless they're, you know, PC exclusive, which generally they aren't. But on Steam Deck, it's those kind of more indie sort of level games that I enjoy playing, that I can just dip into here and there and just, you know, put away for a month and then jump back in and not lose where I am in it. I think maybe a roguelike, you have to build up a skill, you have to build up a tolerancy, don't you? So maybe not. I'll definitely have a look at that one, Spence. Good suggestion. I don't know if there's anything from you, Davey.
My only thing was going to be a case of, can you replay some classics? I mean, I don't know how good the Steam Deck is with running like all
emulation. Emulation, my friends. It's a hot topic at the moment on Steam Deck, and one that Nintendo has very much been fighting against. So it's got increasingly difficult these days to sort of emulate any of the newer Nintendo systems, but anything older and anything on PlayStation, you know, retro PlayStation 1, 2, are very easy now to replicate on the Steam Deck.
I would think about like maybe even just getting MVC2 or something like that, and just actually learning some combos. It's a game that like none of us ever got good at, is MVC, like ever in any real way. Like not the same way that we got good at Street Fighter or like I got good at Dragon Ball Fighters. And it's always that thing that always bugs me in the back of my mind. Like, why didn't I ever get good at Marvel? Because I love Marvel so much to watch, and I never got good. And if I was just traveling, I had like 8 hours on a plane or whatever, and you could think, fuck it, yeah, I'll just lab for 8 hours straight. And it's that kind of thing that after you do like a solid labbing session, even if you come back years later, it takes like 10 minutes and you've already relearned the combo. You're like, oh yeah, like that would be sick.
The Steam Deck is already big enough, right? Imagine me breaking out the fight stick.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Sorry guys, move out of the way. Can I get that big table, please? I'm just going to set up my little Steam Deck and the fight stick. I don't know if a fighting game really works, because you would have to use the Steam Deck controls, and obviously that wouldn't relate to the console maybe you'd be playing on if you were playing competitively. But so you would need the fight stick. It would all work, but I think it'd be a nightmare for me to carry around in my bag.
That's
Oh.
not even the only issue. You're also on the plane or the train going.
Yeah, true.
People around you are going to be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I
You're
didn't
there
think about that. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
bashing away at your fight stick, mate. And you got them sandwars. I reckon you smash your buttons, I reckon.
They're noisy, yeah. All right, well,
Slapping buttons, bro.
leave that one to the side then. Why don't you go back and play like some of the old like games that can't be mentioned or something? Like go back and play like an old Resi. Like go back and play like Resi 3
I have
or
those. Yeah.
something like that. And just, or even better, we love Metal Gear. Just get the like remaster collection and play through Metal Gear 1 and 2. Because, you know, like I've only just recently played those games myself, Metal Gear 1 and 2, because I've only ever played the Solid series, and they're great. And that would work really, really well. And, you know, by the time you've landed on like your flight to Florida or wherever you go in, you've done it. You've done a Metal Gear game.
Yeah.
That would be a great little suggestion.
Nice. And I'm glad you brought up Metal Gear because I am sporting a Uniglow t-shirt for all the viewers tonight for Metal Gear Rising. Not my favourite Metal Gear, but I thought the t-shirt was very nice. So that's the end of my section, Davey. What have you been playing?
So I mean, I could talk about Helldivers. I could talk about Silent Hill, which I've been playing over for my YouTube, but I'm not going to. I've been playing, and the audience, and Lurian's probably out there thinking, oh, baby, he's finally going to talk about Final Fantasy. He's going to talk about Final Fantasy Rebirth. No, haven't started it yet. I got some videos I'm working on for YouTube, and until I get them done, I'm refusing to start Rebirth. So, unfortunately, you're going to have to wait another 2 weeks for that update. But, if you remember, on PlayStation Extra, probably last month, we talked about how Resistance Retribution came to the service. I started playing Resistance Retribution. I'm about 4 levels in, so I'm making good progress. And this is the PSP version of Resistance that came to that. It's been brought over as part of the premium package for PS Plus. And I'm loving it. It's great. It's really fun. It's not a good game, if I'm honest. Like, enemies are complete sponges. The cover system, it works. Not really that great. But it's a chance to see Chimera, to use an auger, to use, you know, a bullseye, and all the awesome guns that I love from the series, and to get a little dose of that. Plus, the platinum on it looks fucking piece of piss. It's just a case of play through the game, and you get the platinum, essentially. So I'm working my way through it, and it's been a nice little game that I don't have to worry about losing skill on, because you could just pick it up and it's exactly the same. There's like 4 buttons, right? So there's no chance of that. It's really simple, really straightforward, and I wanted to show my support for the Resistance series. I talked a big game about how I wanted it back. Thought time to put my money where my mouth is, download it, give it a go, and yeah, it's fun. It's just really fucking fun. If someone out there, you've got premium and you haven't downloaded it, just get on and do it. Get it on download, for God's sake.
I do have one question with this, because I noticed you playing this, mate. If it didn't have trophies, would you still play it?
Yes, but not probably all the way through. So with
try it out.
Yeah, just try it out. So with Retribution, I never played that one. So I'd played, unfortunately for me, Burning Skies on the PlayStation Vita. That game is shit. Terrible. Terrible fucking game. I played that one and bought that, and that's the one where, if you remember, I bought it secondhand, and it was at the time when to go online you had to buy a network pass. Do you remember this story?
I remember this. Yes.
And I had 99% of the trophies. The last one was to play a deathmatch, and I had to buy the network pass for like $12.50 or whatever to be able to go online to get that last fucking trophy. Fuck that game. Fuck that game.
Trophies are awesome, aren't they, guys? Jesus.
That's not the trophy's fault. That's the network pass's fucking fault. What a terrible idea that was in gaming. Jesus Christ. Dark days indeed. So yeah, I think without trophies, I would have booted up and played a bit of it. But knowing how it plays and how simplistic it is, I probably would have just lost interest. But the trophies are giving me an incentive to see it through. And who knows? The story might be great. You know, so far it's building, and it's quite nice to see how it ties in with the original trilogy. And to get like the same kind of style of narration that the Resistance 1 and 2 have. So I'm enjoying it and seeing some of the characters back. But yeah, I don't think I would have played through the entire thing, Spence. No.
Fair enough.
How do you feel about new people diving in and this be their first experience with Resistance? You said the game itself probably isn't that intense, that interesting. It's more about the IP that's sort of selling it for you. And of course the trophy support, because you're a big supporter of trophies. But for someone that, has just subscribed to the service on PlayStation 5 and they see this game, is this one to avoid for them? Or do you need to have played the previous games to really get the full value from this one?
I don't think you need to have played the previous ones because it is a standalone story. I don't think so. But in terms of it like driving interest towards the rest of the Resistance franchise, I don't think it would. I think it was always a companion piece, with the Vita. And what was awesome back in the PSP, and what was awesome back in the day is that the Resistance 2 and Retribution came out around about the same time, if I remember right. I could be off, but I think I'm right. And what happened is that if you had your PSP, you could plug it into your PS3 when Resistance 2 was running, and you'd get a brand new mode that would go live onto the PSP version of the game, which would then be an infected version. So you'd be like Nathan Hale is in number 2, where your health recharges and all that stuff. It was fucking sick. It was just a really cool companion.
That type of stuff.
Yeah, it was sick, dude. And it was just a great companion piece game. But I think by that point, I'd already broken up with my girlfriend and my PSP. I keep calling it Vita. I got Vita on the brain. My PSP was at her house, and I never got it back. So I knew that it wasn't a game that I could like dive into, and I wasn't about to buy another PSP again. So
she probably burnt that in a ritual after.
Probably. With my
all of your stuff in a bin and like doing mystical powers, bit of voodoo on you.
More than likely.
That's why you kept finding those stabbing pains in the side.
Jesus. Hopefully she just played MotorStorm Arctic Edge or whatever it was to death, because I loved that game on the PSP. That game was
Great
sick.
game.
Yeah, immense game.
Yeah, she might be a listener. Imagine if she is. Wouldn't that be a strange turn of fate?
She's
a listener all these years later.
Give him his PSP back now.
Yeah, if you're listening, PSP him.
Play Ridge Racer first and then give it back.
Yeah, give me back my Blades of Olympus or whatever it was, my God of Wars. Give me those back in MotorStorm Arctic Edge, and we're good to go. But to answer your question, no, I don't think it would really bring people back. I think it's not really that kind of experience. This is the thing that just pisses me off, man, is that why can't we just have the PS3 versions of these games just that we can just fucking download and play? It's so annoying. I would love nothing more than to just be able to dive back into Resistance Fall of Man or Resistance 2, Resistance 3, and just play them without having to fucking stream it. And it's only Resistance 3 that's up on the fucking service streamable. It's so annoying. And it's such a fuck up. Because if someone did play it and think, oh wow, I can't wait to play Resistance 1. Oh, guess what? You got to buy a fucking PS3. It's like, oh, come on.
You kind of took the bait there. I was really hoping that you would go down this track because I kind of knew the answer to this one. And it is a shame that, they are pushing out the subpar versions of IPs that we love. And new people coming into the service, as I mentioned, playing this for the first time, probably it's not going to breed the love that we have for these big games such as Resistance. So it is a real shame to see it on the service, as much as I was very pro maybe 2 weeks ago when we announced it, and I was saying that everyone should go on there, vote with their wallets, vote with the download button, and we might see some more of the series in the future. I'm kind of sad that it's there because it might ruin it. It might taint it for some people.
There's a possibility. I mean, all we can hope is that one day we see the franchise return in any form, be that a remastered collection, be that, a number 4, whatever it is, right? I think Sony, and we spoke about this so many times, so I won't labor the point, but they're sitting on this and it's not just Sony, actually, it's so many publishers. They're sitting on this treasure trove of like classic IP and classic releases that there may be a niche audience for, but there's still fucking sales for no work. Just put the shit out on the fucking store. The amount of games that we have release, which nobody will ever buy, nobody will ever look at, no one gives a fuck, when you could just literally just re-put them through certification, Just get them up on the store. The amount of people that would love to see Killzone 1, 2, and 3 up on the store and just be able to download them. Or like fucking all the Splinter Cells, all the Siphon filters are there now. Does everyone care about Siphon filter? I don't know. It's all right. But like I can play like every Siphon filter known to man now on there, but I can't play some of the franchises that were fucking key pillars back on 2 generations ago. It just makes no sense to me. And I think about this all the time. You know, Capcom are really fucking guilty of this with like the Resident Evil series. You just can't get them. Konami at the moment, you can't get Silent Hill 2 anywhere. Can't even get it on PS3 store. It's like they just don't want fucking free money. And it just makes no sense to me whatsoever. It's like the guy who invented Flappy Bird. His game fucking blows up and he's like, oh, fuck this, I'm taking it down. What, you fucking mental? Like, are you insane?
Good.
It's wild.
That's what that guy who created Minecraft should have done. Was it Mahjong?
Notch.
Yeah, Notch, that was him. He should have gone, do you know what? Fuck everybody and just taken it down. I don't want your money. I don't want to live in Jay-Z's house where I've got little, containers for my sweets. I don't want to do that, guys. I just want to leave you all and play my own game. In your face. Yeah, I like that. I like that approach. Keep it for yourself.
I think that's genius mind. I think if you bin it off so no one can buy it and then you stream yourself playing it, you're the only person. Gangbusters. I think you're making loads.
Isn't that what Notch did, though? Didn't he, in the infancy of Minecraft, he did streams of him developing the game. And then I think a lot of his source code just got copied. And then he thought, you know what, fuck this. And then just never did it again.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, it was a big story back in the day. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I'm not sure it was Minecraft. It probably was, but he was developing live within a stream, and then everyone just nicked his work because it was so good. Because he's like a savant of coding. He's just very good at it. He's like next level coder. So people are watching him, just going, do you know what? Copy and paste, done. There's my game.
Wild, absolutely wild.
Yeah.
But
Can't fault him.
Can't fault him. No.
Audience, what do you think about everything we discussed today? What game should Phil play? Let us know. Write in. Put it out there. Should Spence delete his save and go back through on The Last of Us 1? Should I go round to Sony HQ and just fucking beg for the return of Resistance? Let us know. Write into the email pswetrust@gmail.com. But let's move this on to the quick news. Quick news.
That's right, listener, viewers, you have made it through to quick news. So thank you very much for your time investment. Today we're going to go back and we're going to have a little bit of a quiz tonight, boys. We're going to change it slightly to how we've done it in the past. And we're going to go down the route of 1 truth and 2 lies, okay? So each of us have brought and cherry-picked 3 bits of quick news. So at the start of your quick news, I want a statement from yourself. So it can either be one of your truths or one of your lies. And then at the end, we'll have a bit of a discussion and try and work out which one was the lies and which one was the truth. If we're correct, then we are hoisted up in glory. If we get it wrong, unfortunately, we get a shot for episode 90, which will be our blowout in 2 episodes' time. So, Spencer, I'm coming over to you first for your statement and then your quick news. Let's have it, son.
Okay. So for my first statement, I had a speech impediment until I was 14.
Oh.
Let you ponder that one. Quick news. So guys, as always, I am bringing the PlayStation Extra games. Okay, so the list includes NBA 2K24 Kobe Bryant Edition, PS4, PS5. Marvel's Midnight Suns, PS4, PS5. The Game That Can't Be Mentioned 3, PS4, PS5. Lego DC Supervillains, PS4. I almost said it, boys. Mystic Pillars Remastered, PS5. Blood Bowl 3, PS4, PS5. Super Neptunia RPG, PS4. And Dragon Ball Z Kakarot for the PS5. But that's not it. Premium. Classics. We have Jak and Daxter, The Lost Frontier, PS4, PS5. Cool Borders, PS4, PS5, which I don't know what it is, but it looks sick. God's Eater Burst, PS4, PS5. The Ace Attorney Phoenix Wright Trilogy for the PS4. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R. Oh my god, no way. And a little added bonus for everyone. Starting April 1st, My Hero Academia Season 1 will be available on Sony Pictures Core to PlayStation Plus Premium or Deluxe members. That is crazy. Deluxe isn't even an option, so I don't know what the fuck that means. Extra members, I imagine. But that is everything being added, lads. What do you think of that list? Anything stand out to you? And are you going to rewatch or watch for the first time My Hero Academia Season 1? Which, let's be honest, we all should.
I think this is the first time ever in my life where I actually think the premium edition is better than the extra catalogue. And the reason why I'm saying that, because I love the game that Kami mentioned 3. I've played it to death, I've earned the platinum. It's not a game I'm going to be redeeming. If you haven't played it, and you're one of those people that were thinking, oh, it's had shit right up and the fans aren't happy, it's fucking great. We all love it on this podcast. Go out there and play it. It's fucking really, really fucking good. Midnight Suns is not for me. Everything I've heard is immense, but it's not my cup of tea. And Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, I've been wanting to buy that for a long time, but I do not want to dive into that when Sparking Zero is close. I don't want to get like my fill of Dragon Ball before Sparking Zero, so it's not the right time for me. The premium catalog, though, Cool Borders, Spence, you didn't know about it. Cool Borders was the game that you played around a mate's house. Everyone I knew had Cool Borders, but it was always Cool Borders 2. So Cool Borders 1, I've played, can't remember it too well. Cool Borders 2, remember the fuck out of it. Sick game. Cool Borders is great, man. We'll have a blast on Cool Borders when we're together. It's really fucking fun. Proper arcadey. And back in the day, it looked immense. I bet it looks like shit now. I bet it looks like shit. But it will bring back so many cool memories. And I remember the soundtrack being baller as fuck as well. So I'm super, super down for that. For me, Ace Attorney Trilogy, I've never played an Ace Attorney game. And all I've heard is everyone rave about them. And I wanted, when this trilogy first came out, not long ago actually, I swear it was only like a year ago that they announced they were bringing these back. And we watched it on a Capcom Direct that they did. They were bringing back loads of Ace Attorney games. I remember saying at that point, oh, I'd love to be able to go and experience these. So to add this to my list and to eventually get to it is an awesome little incentive. So yeah, I'm really happy with the premium this month. And that is, I think, the first time I've ever said that.
Actually, I think you're right. I don't remember a single time you've bigged up the premium. So actually, that's quite sick. Phil, mate, do you feel the same? Or do you have a different mindset on this?
Well, Spence, I'm glad you asked, because I'm generally down on the subscription service that PlayStation come out with, but in March they've surprised me. They really have. There's a number of games on this list which I'd be very interested in playing if I did subscribe, but I don't know if they're at that level or if I've got the time to invest to be able to play these games. But I would definitely think about it, and the ones that stand out to me would be the Midnight Suns. I know, Davey, that game isn't for you, but everything I've been hearing, similar to you, is outstanding. They had an 83% over on Metacritic, so this is the 2022 tactical role-playing game. Think of XCOM, but just with a Marvel skin. And I've quite enjoyed some of the stuff that Marvel have been doing lately, some of the plans for Deadpool, the X-Men 97, which we talked slightly about at the beginning of the show, a big fan. So I think this game would speak to me and I would be interested to play that one. But unfortunately, I don't have the time and I'm not part of the service. So it is a miss for me, but that one did stick out for me. Another one on the list would be Blood Bowl 3. So everybody knows who's listened to the podcast, I am a big Warhammer freak. I like Games Workshop. I've been playing it for a number of years. Used to play quite a lot as a kid growing up. Used to have all the different sets, 40k, Warhammer, Necromunda, and I did play some Blood Bowl. And for those who don't know, Blood Bowl is very much the American football style game, but with Warhammer models. It's the fantasy realm of Warhammer. So you fight off High Elves versus Skaven, or Orcs versus, I don't know, the Undead, for example. So I'd be very interested in playing that one. And Blood Bowl 3 in particular, I believe is a very good one to play. Outside that, Davey, I've got to echo your thoughts on Cool Borders, because Cool Borders was my jam back in the day. I used to absolutely Love that style of game. I used to love the Tony Hawk's games. I used to like the Matt Hoffman games, and Cool Borders was very much the style of game that was in that vein of jumping in and just doing trick after trick after trick with some amazing music. Okay, so Cool Borders would definitely be on my list to tick off if I was on the service, and if I didn't already own it and it was on my shelf. So yes, Cool Borders, very much for anyone who hasn't played it, definitely play that one. Get it on your downloads.
Hell yeah, mate. Hell yeah. To be fair, lads, I think you're both quite bang on. This list is quite good. I do have to agree with Davey, whereas the premium outweighs the extra. But, I mean, I'd still like to play some other games. The NBA, I think that'd be great fun. Just playing a bit of basketball. I mean, yeah, who doesn't like basketball, you know? That'd be great. And maybe I'd dip into Dragon Ball Kakarot, but same as Davey said, Sparking's like right around the corner, and I cannot wait. Oh, baby. But unfortunately, I don't have premium anymore. And that's kind of where this is a bit shit for me, because I very much would have liked to play Jak and Daxter. I love Ace Attorney. I played them all on mobile, on my old iPhone or my old iPod Touch when they first came to there, and they were great. And there is a bit of news actually left out intentionally for you, Davey, because I think you might like this news, or at least think it's a good direction.
Ooh.
Additionally, we are pleased to share that select series from Crunchyroll will be available to PlayStation Plus Premium / Deluxe via Sony Pictures Core in the following additional regions starting March 13th. So Mexico, Spain, Belgium, Luxembourg, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Italy, and France. But I think we have it as well already. But Crunchyroll and Sony Pictures Core are attempting to merge into one, which I believe we talked about in the past.
Yeah, that's the smartest play ever. And that adds, I remember when we were talking about how do you make the PS Plus premium like more value adding, and we said about this. We said this is like you have to do this. Like, this makes perfect sense. If this goes the full way and they do eventually get it so that it is like essentially a full Crunchyroll subscription as part of Sony Pictures Core, I'm gonna keep my premium, because at the moment my premium expires at the end of April, and I got that choice then of what do I do. And at the moment, with the last couple of months that they've been pumping out on premium, I'm tempted to keep it. You know, it all depends. I mean, we'll have a look at next month, and if next month is right down in the shitter again, I'll probably end up canceling. But the last 2 months to get like Resistance, Retribution, this, and these games that are on this suite, and to have the potential that Crunchyroll could come in, for an extra 20 quid a year, I might as well fucking keep it, right? So we'll see where this goes. But that's a fantastic piece of news, and long may that streak kind of continue, and they bring even more of Crunchyroll in. So perfect situation.
Hell yeah. So a prediction we've actually got right, boys. Let's go. Another one in the books. I don't think we had a shot on that, thank God. But we might have done. I'm not going to listen back. Don't know if you boys will. We'll never know. Lurian, do not tell us if there was. If there wasn't, sure, tweet us. Otherwise, don't. But all in all, it was a pretty strong list of games for both premium and classics. I think it's a pretty strong month. But like you said, it's definitely a reason to stay on premium this month. They definitely are trying to incentivize that a bit more. But moving on, who wants to go next, boys? Free, open thing. Who wants to go next?
Ladies first, Davey.
Oh, go on then. I was going to say age before beauty, but, you've beat me to it and done a derogatory ladies first, which, I'm not going to say no to. So here we go. So here's one of my truths / lie. We'll see where we come down with this. When I was a kid, I stole a cream egg from Woolworths, ate it as I ran out of the store, and then felt so guilty I threw it up. Quick news. Multiverses. Remember the game that we all played last year and we played to death? Well, if you don't remember, it was a multiplayer brawler like Smash, but nowhere near as good. But it had all Looney Tunes characters, so you could play as Taz, or you could play as, Superman. It had all the Warner Brothers licenses. Anywho, that game returns May 28th with new characters, modes, and more. So the game has been rebuilt in UE5, so it looks way better than it did before. It's been promised to have a brand new netcode, which was their biggest complaint they had from the open beta, was that the netcode was absolutely trash, which it was. So it looks like they've kind of fixed everything. I mean, the full game's coming out on May 28th, so we'll have to wait and see. But when this game originally came out and it launched, it had a huge reception. I mean, it blew up to become the most played fighting game, I think, on Steam of all time. Like 20 million players or something daft. It did really, really well. So I'm hoping that the game has that same kind of level of momentum coming back. Now, guys, we all played that quite a lot before the beta closed down. First couple of months, anyway, we sweated it quite a bit. Anyone keen on going back in and jumping back on, getting the dust off, brushing off the rust, and diving into Multiverses come May 28th?
I mean, yeah, I'm keen to try it. I think I'm keen to try it. But the day we stopped playing this game, I didn't miss it. Granted, you and I, Davey, probably played it more than most. We even entered a tournament and got second, like day 2 of us playing, because we're just, just cracked on the sticks. That's the way it goes. But yeah, I'm not in a rush. I don't think I really care about it too much. I'd love to try the new netcode, because the netcode was abysmal. And I want to see if when you hit someone, it actually feels like you're hitting them. Because it kind of didn't. The game didn't have that kind of feeling that Super Smash Bros. Didn't have that polish. So I am keen to see how it plays now and who these new characters are and what these new additions into the game actually is. And if Arya has got any buffs as well, because she was busted. Apparently they've reworked movesets and everything. It's completely changed. So I'm definitely keen to try it. But if I boot it up and Arya feels gross, it's straight deleted immediately.
Yeah, I know what you mean. If they fuck with Taz too much, which they already were absolutely destroying him and nerfing the absolute shit out of him from the moment I picked up the game. So if he's even somehow worse than he was at the end, and I was making him work, then, we'll have to wait and see. Now, Phil, you and me played quite a bit of Multiverses together, and we were getting in the Adventure Time duo, I think we were running. Finn and Jake, I think we were just absolutely boshing people about with the falling boat combo into the bag of fucking destiny that did everything for us. Are you excited to dive back into a bit of Multiverses?
Well, I kind of want to echo what Spence said there really about Multiverses, is that when we were playing it, I was very much enjoying the time we had with it, but now it's gone, I kind of don't miss it. It's nothing that I really want to sort of go back to, unless, of course, some of the new features, which Davey very eloquently announced earlier within his intro, sort of like take it to the next level. That dev video that came out from Player First, they talked about new stages, which is always nice. The visual enhancements, which we expect from games. We always want things to look more pretty. Performance improvements, but they're always going to say that regardless if there isn't. But the new personalities is the thing that probably is the thing that would bring me back into the game. I'm not so bothered about the netcode or the new PvP mode. Right? I'm not playing it on that sort of hardcore level. I'm just playing it for a bit of fun with the boys. It's the type of game you break out when you've had a few beers and you're just down a couple of round robins before you go down to Weatherspoons, all right? And then into town. But I used to enjoy it. We had some good times, me and Davey, playing Finn Adventure Time duo with the dog. I can't even remember his name off the top of my head, but I was very much swinging the bag back in those days. And back in June 2023, when it did get turned off in the summer, they were very much nerfing Finn's bag, which was his only kind of redeeming feature. So unfortunately, unless that's coming back in a big way, I don't think I'm going to be jumping in when that comes out May 28th.
Damn. I mean, fair enough. I don't really feel that keen either, but you did mention about the new additions to the game. Who would you like to see added if you could choose someone?
I guess they've got to just dive into the more popular IPs that they sort of own there, right? And I think the obvious one for me is to really fill out the roster with more of the Batman kind of bad guys, because that roster that Batman has, there is so many different people that they could possibly, bring forward that's never really had that kind of shine before. Bring in a Mr. Freeze or someone like that. Or I don't know, like any of the old ones, any of the non-obvious ones, Harley Quinn, Joker, they've all been done to death, haven't they? So let's see the Riddler coming in and seeing what he could bring to it. Let's see some Jim Carrey Riddler coming into Multiverses. Let's do that. That's what I would like to see. How about you?
I mean, I'm thinking, how on earth would the Riddler play? Maybe he would just confuse you and he'd just get a free hit. Who knows? He might have a little stun. He just says something to you and you're like...
Just confuses you. A bit like Kirby in Smash Bros., where he puts you to sleep. You could almost be like, like that. And then wallop straight off the stage.
And it's dead. Nothing you could do. For me, I'm not sure if you
Not
actually...
Kirby, Jigglypuff. I totally
Yeah,
said the
it
wrong
is
one there.
Jigglypuff.
Jigglypuff. That's how long I haven't played Smashing.
Long time, mate. Long time. It's been a long time for all of us now. I think for me, who I'd like to see added, I don't know if it actually could be added, but it's definitely Warner Bros. So I'm going to say Lisan Al-Gaib. I want to see Paul
Wow.
Atreides in Multiverses. That's what I want to see. I want to see him. Or he could be like 4 different characters, man. He's got so many names. He could have so many variations. The Krizat's Haderach, the whatever the name for the desert mouse is. He could have so many alternate skins and stuff. I think it'd be sick. I think Paul Atreides would be a fantastic character. And I think he'd play like Arya, which is what I want.
I think that's a good shout for sure. Davey, have you got any ideas what you would like to see in Multiverses? I've gone for the Riddler. So I've gone for someone from Batman's Rogues Gallery. Spencer has gone for the lead within Dune, because that's obviously a very popular theme at the moment. And of course, we're seeing him in Fortnite. So why wouldn't he come into Multiverses? They're making a hell of a lot of money off that IP at the moment. Who could you see come into Multiverses?
I want some more Justice League members. You know, we got Supes, we got Bats, we got Wonder Woman. I want the Flash. I love the Flash. And to be able to be super, super speedy and running around, that would be so me. I play Sonic in Smash. I like the speed. I would love to be the Flash. Or failing that, if I couldn't be the Flash, chuck me in Green Lantern. You could do so much with that ring. And you could be like take it so many different ways. Baby.
I bet you could.
Give him the ring. But those would be my choices. I would love those. And I think they've added in like fucking Black Adam. I mean, sure, he was my main in Injustice 2, but give me Flash, baby. I want to be zipping about the place.
And you did a very good cosplay of Black Adam, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, I did. The Rock
People need to scroll for a while on Twitter to find that one.
The Rock wishes he could have done it as good as I did back in that. He wishes, bro. But yes, another day. We'll have to wait and see. I suppose this is the exciting thing now, is that we got potential up until May. We got another couple of months that there could be anything get announced. And so, yeah, let's see what happens. I'm excited to re-ride this train again. But we'll see if it actually pulls into station and anyone gets on. Phil, let's hear your statement.
Here's my statement, guys. It's a very simple one. I have more PS1 games on my shelf than any other PlayStation console. Check out Project Birdseye, an action roguelike we've been cooking up at SD Studios. What do you think? Let us know. This is Project Birdseye, hashtag, as they do on Love Island. So guys, it's not Callisto Protocol 2 that some of us have been hoping for. This is the super fast action roguelike called Project Birdseye, and there's been a first look video released in the last couple of days, and it features all new enemies, locations that you remember. You can level up your skills and obtain new suits and weapons. It has an absolute superb soundtrack, and this game, just to clue you in if you haven't seen the video, it looks like Hades, but with a Callisto Protocol skin on top. Now, is this what we wanted from Callisto? Because I think our views were quite mixed where they could go next with this one. Davey, I'm going to come to you first.
Joe, I'm really happy with this. I love these kind of style of games, and to me, it didn't remind me too much of Hades actually. Although now you've given that over, yeah, I can definitely see it. But it was reminding me of like some of the earlier games that Housemarque used to make. You know, like with Alien Nation or Dead Nation, any of those. And it just gave me those vibes. And I thought, yeah, do you know what? I fucking love these kind of games. I absolutely love them. So I'm super, super interested in this. The only thing that puts me off, well, there's a couple of things. The art style, I don't know if I generally like. I think it looks kind of generic. You know, like it when Hades did it,
looks
it
like Hi-Fi
original.
Rush, right?
Yeah, it does,
Yeah,
but it
does
doesn't look
actually.
as polished as that. And the UI pieces when things were throwing up on screen, I didn't quite vibe with them. So I'm a bit wary is probably the best way to say it. But I do think having a little change and going down a totally different avenue and kind of flexing your creativity is what I want to see from this studio. You know, like at the end of the day, Striking Distance, they made an absolute dud with the Callisto Protocol. And if this is their chance to be able to redeem themselves and flex their creative juices and not rip off everything else, even though it does look a little bit like a rip-off. I'm happy to go along with it and see where this kind of goes.
Yeah, no, I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I also want to just add that this is a very low-risk approach for striking distance, isn't it? You know, they didn't come out all guns blazing as we maybe thought they would, with a brand new IP and a new kind of AAA sort of level game, okay? Those games obviously take a lot of investment, a lot of time, and a lot of companies lately have been falling down that dark pit, haven't they? Like developing games and having problems all over the place. So I think striking distance, they've done the right thing, haven't they? They've taken the foot off the gas a little bit and they thought, what can we knock out quickly to continue maybe the vibe of Callisto Protocol, but just to open it up a little bit and see who we can attract with some slightly tweaked game. Well, slightly tweaked, quite a lot tweaked gameplay here. Now, Spence, have you seen the video and do you think you'll be diving back in to Project Birdseye?
I've seen the video. It's not something I ever would have expected to see. But I'm liking what I see. I do agree with Davey. It is a generic art style. It's something we see all the time. It's just cell shaded out the wazoo. But it looks like it plays well. And this is a first look. But it looks like a finished game. So if this is the first look, they're surely adding a lot to this game. It could have an overhaul of its graphic style, its art direction. Who knows what could happen with this? I'm really excited for this game. And from what I can see, it looks promising. And you never have enough roguelikes. It's a fantastic genre. So, I mean, I'm keen for it. And I think it's a smart move on their behalf.
Yeah, and all the comments on that Twitter post are very, very positive. I think this is what the fan base, okay, somewhat limited these days because of the outcome of Callisto Protocol, are looking at this and coming back and commenting very positively. So it's a green light at the moment, but we'll keep an eye close to the ground with this one, and any sort of updates, of course, we'll bring it into quick news, and then inevitably one of us will play it and maybe just trash it and say it's a 6 out of 10. So we'll see what happens with it. We'll keep you posted. Spence, on to your statement. Number 2, please.
So for my second statement, I have never flown on a plane. Quick news. So guys, you might remember an old game. It's a game, it's not even out yet, but it's a game we talked about a little while ago, which heavily takes inspiration from classic survival horror. And that game is Crow Country, which launches May 9th. On Steam and PS5. Now, I'm not sure if you boys have played it yet, but there is actually a demo for this game, which I've played on the PlayStation 5, and it is genuinely just a good survival horror game with a very cute art style, a cute direction. And granted, the demo could have been better, because they left a lot of stuff in the demo, there's a lot of stuff in the demo that will be useful in the game, but you don't need for the demo. So you start overthinking, thinking, oh, where does this go? But the item you have is for an area you don't have access to. So the demo's not laid out too well, but it's still a really fun demo and it gives you a great idea of what this game is going to be. Now, have you guys actually seen Crow Country at all or dipped into this demo? Davey, over to you.
I haven't dipped into the demo, but after you mentioned it and you described it as a game that can't be mentioned crossed with Final Fantasy, it piqued my interest. And ever since then, I've started following the Twitter for these guys and started looking at everything. And every single time they release like a little bit of footage or a video on YouTube or whatever it is, or developer interview, I'm following along. I am definitely playing this day one, 100%. This is the kind of thing that whenever I talk about survival horror, I'm always saying that the indie space and the AA space is where it's fucking at the moment. It's where they seem to just be doing everything fucking right. Like, the gameplay decisions are always come from people that have played and loved classic survival horror. So it means that already you know that the gameplay is going to fucking bang because it's what we all love about the genre. And so everything else on top of that is then just full creative license to do whatever you want. So yeah, this game really speaks to me. I think this is going to be phenomenal. And judging from everything I've seen, unless they somehow shit the bed, I can see this being a case that we get to the end of the year and we're like, yeah, Crow Country. Yeah, definitely in like top 5, stuff like that. Because This year, granted, is going to have a lot of competition with survival horror. We were talking last week about Tormented Souls 2, Astral Rot, Alone in the Dark's come out now, and that's been a bit of a dud. But there may be some enjoyment there. None of us have played that yet. And we're certainly the target market for it. So it will certainly have competition. But in terms of originality and carving a place in my mind's eye, as well as this game has, very few games at the moment have been able to reach that kind of level. So I'm really looking forward to this, Spence. 100%.
Hell yeah, mate. Hell yeah. Phil, I will say, before I pass to you, I think this game could be perfect for your little Steam Deck, mate. Have you seen anything about this game?
I was only just thinking that after your very positive reviews of it, or reviews of the possibilities of this game, because I haven't played the demo. I've seen a lot of the more recent screenshots. And Spencer, you've been a big advocate for this game, and you've waxed lyrical multiple times about this one. So it has been one that I have been keeping an eye on. But as much as I'm, into survival horror, the kind of Final Fantasy angle doesn't really sell it to me in the same way that it maybe sells to Davey. But it might be something that, yeah, you are right, that I could dip into while I'm traveling about and get playing on my Steam Deck. But I'm very pleased for you, Spencer, because this does look as if it has stepped up since the last time we've looked at it. And I'm very much looking forward to your review once it's out.
Oh yeah, mate. Hell yeah. I'm keen to play it and I'm keen to do it. Sounds like a great old time. So, moving on from there, Davey, I guess back to you. Give us your second statement of the night.
Okay. When I was a kid, I played Alien Trilogy on the PS1. I loved it so much, I asked my dad to watch the film. I was 8. I got too scared and turned it off before they even had a facehugger attached. I then had nightmares for weeks.
Oh.
On the other end of the gaming spectrum, from indie all the way up to AAA, and some may even call it Quad A. God, I hate Quad A. It's being fucking touted about. Have you guys seen the brand new trailer that went up just recently? I think it went up yesterday, for Captain America and Black Panther for the new game. It's called 1943, Rise of Hydra, coming in 2025. I suppose first thing is, have you seen the trailer? What are your thoughts on it? Spence, over to you first. Kick us off.
Okay, I have seen it. And why does Cap look like a bitch? I mean, I don't like the character design on Cap at all. He looks awful. And all I've seen about this trailer is everybody like, oh my god, the graphics are so good. I'm like, bitch, are you serious? You think that's gameplay? That is rendered out the wazoo. Not a chance in hell. So I don't know what people are chatting. It's insane. But the trailer kind of just gives us a good idea of where the story's going to lead, I think, more than anything else. And it does seem quite interesting. So I need to see gameplay before I have really any opinion on this game. But the story it's going to tell us seems quite cool. So I am interested, just not too heavily at the moment.
Fair enough. What about yourself, Mr. Hoy?
I'm lapping it up at the moment. Anything Marvel is putting down at the moment, I am lapping the fuck up. Purely because I think they've turned a corner. They've had their Ant-Mans, they've had their Marvels, and now they've thought, do you know what? We need to start putting out quality. Let's take the foot off the brakes, as we've been talking about all the development companies at the moment spending way too much money on subpar games. Marvel have noticed that. And Deadpool, I promise you, number 3, that's going to change things. It's going to change the whole Marvel universe. And I believe the games now, they're going the same sort of way, because this is quality. Spence, you're correct. This is not gameplay. It's definitely not gameplay. But the optics on social for this game are very, very positive. Let me tell you that. People are loving it. They're in love with Captain America. They're in love with the Black Panther. They're in love with the 1943 setting. And I think that's the beauty of it. And that's where I think Marvel really comes into its own, okay? I don't want everything in modern day. I think Marvel does it best where they take it back to the past and we get to see it from a new angle that maybe we wouldn't have experienced. And I'm definitely not that old for the 1943s. But I think this was a really interesting time for sure, guys. And I'm really interested in the rise of the Hydra. I love that sort of, not run within the comics, but everything that sort of has referenced that time of Captain America and the Hydra. I don't know so much about Black Panther. That one would be a new one on me. But I definitely know a little bit about the history of, you know, Captain America and the Hydra and where all that came from. So I'm really interested to see where this one comes from. All right. So definitely ear to the ground again. Let's keep an eye on this one, but we definitely need to see some gameplay for sure.
Well, I got to echo the thoughts of you two guys. I think gameplay is king, and there was none of it shown here. Literally none. So I get a kind of bit of excitement, but I'm fucking mega dubious of this. Like, insanely dubious. Now, the good parts is that it's written and done by Amy Hennig. For those that don't know, if you'd played Uncharted 1, 2, and 3, Amy Hennig, the fucking GOAT. She's done nothing for a long time because all the projects she's been on have seemingly just been cancelled. But she's finally here, and it looks like this may actually come out, which would be fucking immense. So I know the story's going to bang. I know it is. Until I see gameplay, I am not getting remotely excited because this could be fucking steaming pile of shit. And no matter how good it looks, we've been burnt by that so many fucking times on trailers. And then you actually get to it and it runs like arse. Or that actually there's a huge distinction between what you see in a cutscene and what you see in gameplay. So I am on the opposite end of the Marvel spectrum to Phil. I am doom and gloom on Marvel at the moment. I am literally like, I haven't watched Echo. I can't be fucked. Haven't watched the rest of the season 2 of Loki because I thought it was shit. I honestly, yeah, I thought it was bollocks.
Wow.
I am 3 episodes in, and each episode I'm watching it 15 minutes at a time, and I'm like, oh God, will something happen in this fucking stupid show? It is so boring. And so I have gone from being like literally pulling my dick out and wanking to every single fucking trailer that gets released to now I could just fucking burn it to the ground. I don't care. I want it just to fucking go away for years. I mean, like, literally, I don't want to see it for like 5 years. And then for it to come back and be like, oh, I've missed this. Whereas at the moment, even though my entire childhood, my dad is like the biggest comics nerd ever. I was raised on this stuff, literally raised on this. I am at the point where I do not give a fuck. It's going to take like multiple bangers to bring me back into the fold. You know, like when it all started, I was like suckling at the teat. And even if it wasn't the best, I was like, oh, well, it doesn't matter because they still don't miss, you know? And now it's like they miss so fucking much. I don't know where the fucking target is. So I honestly, I'm dubious because it's Marvel. And that's not the best stance to be in. But maybe by the time I get to 2025, if Deadpool 3 is as good as we hope it is, then maybe I'll start to come back on. And I'll look back and I'll be like, can't believe I doubted them. Can't believe I doubted them. But we'll see. We'll see. Gameplay is king and none of that here yet. So, let's move it on, shall we? Mr. Philip Hoy, coming back round to you for your next statement.
Okay, next statement. I have more PS2 games on my shelf than any other PlayStation games. Quick news. So guys, System Shock Remake comes to console. Ready your stack of meat and bone, insects. Your god will come to upgrade your PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S on May 21st of 2024. So guys, are you System Shock fans? I remember playing this game a long time ago, back I think around 1994, this first-person action-adventure video game developed by Looking Glass Technologies and published by Origin Systems came out, and it was a banger. It was a 90%, and we didn't do Metacritics in 1994. It wasn't such a big deal. This is PC motherfucking Gamer giving it a 90%, so you knew you could trust this rating. It's coming back, guys. It's coming to console. They've released a first-look video. It looks incredible. The music is absolutely superb. Now, I want to ask you boys, do you understand what System Shock is? Is this something you've known about in the past? Is this an IP you've ever played? And will you be interested in this when this comes out on May 21st of this year? Davey, I'm going to come over to yourself first.
This is like one of those things in anyone's gaming catalog that's kind of like something you don't want to admit, you know? Like, I haven't played it, and I know I'll love it. Because if it wasn't for System Shock, you wouldn't have had BioShock. So, you know, it's Ken Levine all over the place on it. I think he was more so for System Shock 2, I think. But I don't know that for definite. But, I mean, when this remake came out, and it was first shown, and it was PC first, I remember then losing interest immediately because it was PC. And I thought, well, I don't have to think about it now. I can wait till it comes to console. Now, I'm looking it up on the Metacritic right now, and it actually didn't have the best reception, which is surprising. It comes in at 78 on Metacritic, which is a little bit worrying. But what they've said is, the developers, that they've basically just gone back hell for leather for this console release, and that they've really upgraded it even more. So I'm hopeful it's going to be good. For me, I'm interested, like super, super interested. Only thing is, I'm just worried a little bit about how far up Crow Country's ass I'm going to be. Because it's a couple of weeks later, and what if I'm playing it through for like the third time or something? I don't know. I could be reviewing the shit out of Crow Country and like really obsessed with it. At the moment, I would say that it's a solid purchase from me. That I feel like I have to experience this game, and it would fill in so much appreciation for BioShock to see like where they took like some of the groundwork from this and how they built that into BioShock. I know a lot of people will say, oh, BioShock shit, System Shock's where it's at. You know, they nailed it on the first time. There's always a purist in every single kind of fandom. I'd love to be able to experience that and have that viewpoint for myself and to see which one I prefer out of the two. So yeah, I'm really happy with this. I'm glad we're finally getting a piece of the action come the end of May.
Very, very nice. Now, Spencer, I don't know if you are a System Shock fan, a BioShock fan, or any of sort of Ken Levine sort of game fans, right? Are you interested in this one when it comes out to consoles on May 21st?
See, I am interested in it, but I am a BioShock fan. Infinite. I haven't really played 1 and 2 to fruition, which is a sin on my part. I know it's a sin, and I've been meaning to remedy it for years. I bought the collection years ago in CEX, or SEX as it's actually called, but no one does because it's childish. And we have it for free on PS Plus from like years ago. We got it for free. I do love BioShock. I've never played System Shock. I know of it. I've seen it, but I've never actually played it myself. Yeah, I'm keen for it. I'm keen to see it come over. I'm keen to give it a go. It's not a day one, but that's because I'm in the same boat as Davey, where I'm probably going to be up Crow Country's arse, or I'm probably going to be playing something else. Maybe I'll decide to do my save of Last of Us. Who knows? But I'd like to play this at some point. It's probably not a day one, unfortunately, though.
Fair enough, and that rounds things out. Spence, I'm going to throw it back to you for your last statement of tonight.
Thank you, mate. So my last statement. The first console I owned was a PlayStation 1. Quick news. So lads, quite a big bit of news. There was a leak on Reddit a long time ago, which detailed the specs of the PS5 Pro. And it's come out, and it turns out those leaks were actually bang on. They were real. So we now know the specs of the PS5 Pro. So it does also say releasing holiday 2024. Now, I am saying this is confirmed, it's real, not officially. There's a lot of sources kind of in the mix, kind of adding on to increase the legitimacy of this. But Sony haven't said anything yet. So that's who we're waiting on. But as it goes, this appears to be real. So I do have the full specs in front of me. A lot of it incomprehensible. I don't know what a lot of it means. I don't think you boys will. And listeners, if you do, then well done. I don't have a clue. But the main gist of it is just higher numbers. Everything is increased. So we're getting 16 gigs of RAM at 18 gigabytes per second GDDR6. So expect increased speeds with a 256-bit memory bus of 576 gigabytes a second memory bandwidth. Let me see. The GPU frequency target is 2 gigahertz. This lands the dual issue teraflops in a range of 28.67 teraflops peak. Now, I've never seen teraflops be that high. Don't know what that means, but it's a big number. And it also says XDNA2 NPU will be featured for the purpose of accelerating Sony's bespoke temporal machine learning upscaling technique. Lot of nothing there. This will be one of the core focuses of the PS5 Pro, like we saw with checkboard rendering for the PS4 Pro. Temporarily stable upscaled 4K output at higher than 30 FPS is the goal. And this is supposedly to be revealed September 2024. Lads, have you seen all these leaks confirmed, this list of specs? And what are your thoughts on it? Is this the PS5 Pro that you were hoping for? Phil, over to you, because I feel like you know a bit more about technology than Mr. Davey over there.
Wow, you're very much, blowing smoke up my arse there, Spence, and I'm enjoying it. Because officially, non-officially, boys, we are 8K. Come on. My prediction came true. And you laughed at me. You laughed in my face when I made the prediction of 8K. Fine, you'll need the TV and you'll need a game to play it. But still, it's going to have 8K on the box. So another win for me. But Spence, I've been vastly impressed with what they're putting out. Okay, some of these are rumours, or the vast majority of these are rumoured. They're not proven by Sony. They're not signed off in any way. But I am very excited for this next iteration of PlayStation. And my history is rather spotty when it comes to the Pros and the Slims and the upgraded versions of PlayStations. I think my PlayStation 3, I ended up getting a new version because my PlayStation 3, the big kind of burger cooker, that one actually broke. The fan came away from the processor and actually opened it all back up, and I put some thermal paste on it just to get all my saves off, and then I ended up having a new white, one of the slim kind of ones with the top slide PlayStations. With the PS4, I never got a PS4 Pro until very late on, and I only bought it when I got the PS5, strangely, because there was a Death Stranding version which I was bidding on eBay, and I'm very much a Kojima fan, and I ended up buying it, and I haven't really used it. It's just sat on my shelf looking very nice with those two handprints on it, so it's more an art piece than anything I've used for playing games. But this one, because we're on the PlayStation podcast and because we need to stay up to date when it comes to PlayStation, the PlayStation Pro is going to be downstairs, connected to my PC, connected to my TV, day one.
Day one. Damn, he's in on it. Now, Davey, you are the only one of us to upgrade to a Pro and actually, I suppose, utilize the PlayStation Pro in the past. How big was the jump between the PS4 and the PS4 Pro? And do you think this is going to be a similar size jump?
The jump wasn't massive, but it was noticeable. So the difference was that you'd have increased frame rates, and you'd have, the big thing back then was that you'd have 1440p graphics. So it was a big deal, and it was noticeable, especially where I bought it for God of War 2018. So when that game came out, I knew I had to dip into PS4 Pro. I just fucking had to. And there were other benefits to it as well, like there were like faster connections, and it would download things a little bit quicker, even though I couldn't notice it because my internet shit. All these different little things that it did have. And I loved it. I used it all the time. I never regretted my purchase. And so when it comes down to buying this, the big question, and this is the same way I always think when it comes to like upgrading phones and stuff, right, is that tech that you use all the time, why wouldn't you upgrade it? It just makes sense to, right? Like if it was a case I was like, say for example, Lewis, right? So Potato Chief from Xbox the Box hardly plays his PlayStation. There's no reason for him to go and dip into a PS5 Pro, even if it is like markedly way better, because the amount of time that he'd have with that system, maybe a couple of years, and then we're talking, PS6 generation. There's not much use. But for us, that is our way we play games, right? And we're on it like all the time. It makes perfect fucking sense. Yeah, Phil Semi. It makes perfect sense.
How did you see?
For me, right, I don't know enough about the specs to know if it is going to be a quantum leap. Looking at what the reaction is from the wider Twitterverse, I can say that yes, it's gonna be massive, but I don't really understand specs. I just don't get it. It's fucking gibberish to me. Until Mark Cerny comes out and he gives his presentation and I can see for myself what that difference is, at that point I'll be able to then be like, oh my god, that loads so much faster than already near fucking instant. The big thing for me, and the proper deal breaker, is just all I need it to do. Let's take it back down to brass tacks. All I need this to do to be worth a purchase is to eliminate the need to be able to pick between fidelity or performance. That's all I need it to do. As long as it does that, which, judging from what everyone's spouting off on Twitter, that it's going to be able to run 4K 120, fine. That's all I need. I'd be happy if everything just runs 4K ray tracing 60. If it manages to achieve that, it's got my fucking money. That's the bare minimum. In terms of 8K, fuck if I believe that. They had 8K on the box of your PS5. Good fucking luck running fucking 8K on that. Can't even run fucking 4K ray tracing at fucking above 30. There's no fucking way. Like, I'll believe 8K when it fucking eventually happens, right? They can put it on the box as much as they want. In reality, is anybody going to be taking that up? Is anyone going to spend the development time to create an 8K version of their game when fucking 1 out of fucking 2 million fucking own an 8K device? No, of course they're not. But
he just can't let me win,
So
Spence,
much
could he?
fucking,
He
bro.
can't let me win, right?
It's just
you can gear of me
stupid.
all episode. He just can't let me have a win.
no way. No way. Until we get an 8K that's like affordable.
You can come round my house and see the 8K.
Oh my
How
god.
about that?
I tell you what, if you got 8K for anything, I would come round to see it because I would be. It's going to blow my.
Well, you're not
tits off.
invited. Spence, you can come round and see my 8K.
Oh yeah, bro. Dune?
And play on
Dune in
my
8K?
and play on my PlayStation Portal as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll come around. I'll smash.
We'll have a
that
fun old time.
I'll
Have a
smash
great
that
day.
fucking shit up. But yeah, so I'm super excited by this, and I do believe it. I do believe it. It is mega. It is a rumor at the end of the day, but the amount of sources that have come out and corroborated it, they could just be jumping on a bandwagon and say, "Yeah, I saw it too. Yeah, I know about this, or I've heard this from my contacts." But when there's this much smoke, there's fucking fire, and this is it. So we've all predicted that we're going to get a pro version this year. We've predicted that for a while now. September sounds like a great time to do it. And it could be the reason why we haven't had a big showcase so far, why we haven't had some of these big game announcements, because you could then at that point show off some like big differences. Like you could say, right, okay, well, the meme one would be you'd say, right, well, here's Bloodborne at 60. That would be so fucking funny. If they put that would be so fucking hilarious. But you could then just show like Ghost 2. And it could be like, right, well, here it is on PlayStation 5. This is it now on the new PlayStation 5 Pro. And it's like fucking ray tracing's out the fucking wazoo. It's 120, 4K, and everyone loses their fucking mind and buys it day one. So, yeah, I agree with all this. I'm super hyped for this. I really can't wait to see more.
I'll tell you what, I hate to just hop on the bandwagon. Davey, I agree with literally everything you've said. As long as it standardizes fidelity and FPS, that's all anyone can ask. If it's 8K 30, I won't buy it. I'd much rather have 4K 60 than anything else. 8K, film it. I'm sorry. The
8K
world's
is
not
8K.
ready.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter about anything else. 8K, if it produces 8K, then I've won, and Davey takes a shot.
It's, to be fair, agreed.
Okay,
But I can't see it actually doing it in a proper manner.
let's string this bet up to make it something so that it can actually come in. When it's announced, we need one AAA game that outputs in 8K.
Whoa. That was never my prediction.
No,
that was never my prediction.
Let's
My prediction
let's firm this
is
up.
they're selling it as an 8K machine.
Yeah, but
They sold the PS5 as an 8K machine.
it's on the box. So
Then-
I'm not
then
taking
you
that.
get why I made that prediction.
I'm not
and you
taking
took it
that.
at the time.
No way. No.
Oh.
I'd need to see a
It's
game.
going to be a dry episode anyway. Lighten up, mate. Have some fun.
This is for episode 100 we'll be talking around about this time.
Jeez.
So
yeah, very true.
Yeah, so episode 90, this bit ain't coming in then. But if we get an 8K game, I will concede and I will add a shot on 100%.
One shot for an 8K game.
Any game.
Yeah, any game.
Wow.
Any
Chicken on
8K
the Run
game.
now in 8K. That'd be
Yeah.
class.
Yeah, there you go. I'll give it up for
That
that.
the genie in my Szechuan sauce in 8K, mate. What I do want to ask you boys, and this is kind of stretching this out a bit, how do you want to see them change the form factor of the PS5? Because obviously you boys don't actually like the PS5 design too much when you both got them hidden away. So what would you like to see them change with it? Would you like to see them change the design at all? And if so, what would you want?
I hate it. And I've not been shy about saying I hate the new design. I've loved all the rest of the PlayStations, even the whole burger flip machine of the PS3 days with the SD slots and the card readers on the front. I used to love all that. But the new PS5, I adamantly, every time I look at it, I'm like... And the thing that I just don't get is that stand. And I've waxed lyrical about this. I've gone over it many, many times. So I'm not going to go over it too much more today. But, oh my God, what is the point? Couldn't they design something that looks beautiful, horizontal, and vertically? Unfortunately, I don't have the space to place it vertically. So mine lives horizontally, but it lives on a weird slant like that because the stand never works. And I know the new edition, the new Slim, it has another little stand, and if you want it vertically, you've got to pay for that stand. So let's hope they just do away with all that nonsense for the Pro. Maybe that's enough for me to buy the Pro. Here's a PS5 that looks beautiful, standing up vertically and horizontally. PS5 Pro, because we've eliminated that stupid plastic stand. That'll do it for me. Here's 500 quid.
Man, do you know, I love the PlayStation 5 design standing up. I think it looks lush. I think it looks so nice. Whenever I see one that's standing up vertically, I'm always like, oh, I've always loved it. I think it just looks like a really nice like Art Deco piece. But you're totally right, Phil. Lying down is ugly as fucking sin. So the problem is, I'm more so that line where I'm like a glutton for punishment, and I want the Pro to just be more gearish. I want it to just be bigger and more gearish. I want it so that it's already difficult enough to move downstairs because it weighs a fucking ton. I want it just to be like the PS4. The PS4 design was beautiful. The PS4 Pro design is ugly as piss. It's just like another layer on top. I want the same for the Pro. I want like instead of it being like the 2 fins, I want it to have like 3 for no reason.
3.
Like literally, where it's just like, oh yeah, we just plonked another fucking unit on top of this. So it looks just like, you know, the same way when you had like your Genesis or your Mega Drive back in the day, and you had so many attachments on top. I want it to look like it's been designed that way for no fucking reason. So it's not just like a bigger thing. It's literally just gearishly more. Like maybe it's got like a strip of LEDs that runs all along it so that you can barely see your fucking game. It's like shining out like a fucking Ark of the Covenant. I want it so bad that you can't look anywhere else but notice you got a PS5 Pro. Because it would just make me fucking laugh.
I'd love it, right, if they fuck it up standing up vertically. That would be beautiful, wouldn't it? At the moment, the normal PS5 doesn't go horizontal, but for some reason, this one doesn't stand up vertically. It kind of is a bit on a wonk. Or, again, you probably need to buy like a 40 quid, 50 quid stand for it.
What I'd love is if it's just so powerful that the fan on it, when you stand it up vertically, it just rocks. So
Just
you put
wobbles.
it's just wobbling like mad. And so people are coming up with suggestions, like they got like a shitload of books, like people are buying like multiple versions of Lord of the Rings to stack either side to try and stop it, or you've got to buy the stand. That would just be fucking class.
Yeah. And all those PlayStation apologists out there, they'll be going, yeah, but this is how you make it get to 8K. This is how you get the most performance out of it. You've got to put like 3/4 of a book underneath it because that's the correct angle to get the disc spinning at the right revolutions. If you don't do that, if you take a page out, it spins slightly less so you don't get that 8K. Sorry about that, nerds.
Yeah, they're like, which Lord of the Rings did you put on? They're like, mine broke the other day. Which Lord of the Rings did you put next to it? And they're like, oh, it was only 2 towers. It's supposed to be Return of the King, you fucking idiot. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, let's hope it turns out to be trash, but performs amazingly. That would be awesome.
That'd be the best suggestion.
See, I love the PS5, boys. Even flat. I think it looks better stood up.
Yeah.
But flat, I think it looks fine. The only thing that I hate about it is that the disc tray is on the bottom half of the console rather than the top. Because it's like it's hiding away. Whereas it should be like the PS3, where it's just there.
And they don't label the buttons. You press
No.
eject, you press on. Don't know which one it is. I still don't know which one it is. I don't use it because I press the button on the remote. I never know what button it is. So when I go to eject, I always press the wrong one. Always. It's just ingrained in me now that I think that's the right one. I'm like, I got this wrong last time, so I'll choose the other one. Oh no, I've chosen it again. I've chosen the same one again. Annoying.
Do you know, I do this with like loads of technology. The PlayStation I don't though. I've got that figured out. But loads of technology, I always do this wrong. Like USBs, right? No matter how they design them, and they're like, oh, you can't even get it wrong for USB-C. I still fucking somehow fuck it up. Like, it seems to charge on my phone faster on the one side than the other. And I don't know why that is.
Yeah.
But it does seem to work. And I think, how, if I do this like every time, how do I get it wrong every fucking time? I plug this device in every single fucking day, and I can't do it. So, yeah, maybe they need, this is what they could do, Phil. You got it lying down or standing up. And then what happens is around the edges of the buttons can be a whole set of LEDs, which are like off and on buttons, but they're super bright and like too bright. And we won't get the ability to turn down the brightness on them for like 6 months until we get a firmware update. And everyone will be like,
You can only turn it up.
Yeah,
You can only turn the brightness up. And once it goes up, you can never turn it back down. So,
And the issue there is that currently it's just not labeled. But with your idea, you'd have to be like, as you're trying to push the button. It wouldn't help.
one solution I have found, though, you could basically miss with your USB and you'll scratch that really shiny plate that's on the PlayStation. And then you could scratch in on and eject yourself. That's the only way around it I've found. Because that, again, stupid thing that Sony put on there. It's a shiny plate in the center of the PlayStation, that black strip. If anything touches it, or even just your fingerprint, it'll leave a mark. Ridiculous. Yeah. And you're meant to plug a USB in. As Davey said, he struggles with this. You've got to plug it in the right way up, right? And you can understand the right way up on a USB because you've got the symbol on the top generally. That's the hack, okay, Davey? For the next time you go in and you're not looking, look at the symbol on the top of the USB and then straight in. Because if you miss, you've scratched your PlayStation 5. Again, terrible design.
Yeah, it's true. I can tell. I will say my PS5 is right there looking beautiful stood up. There are markings to tell you if it's power or eject, but they are barely visible. I had to look at it like you cannot see them even if you shone a flashlight on them. They are.
And those are young
invisible.
eyes. Those are young eyes.
I got 20/20, I think. So, yeah, basically invisible. But I think, just make it bigger, man. I'd love to see a fat one. I think it'd be class.
Yeah.
People kicked off enough as is. I'd love to see what Twitter did. It'd be such a fun day.
Triple fin. So then all those people that have spent all that money on plates, just like with the slim version where the plate's null and void, you've got to start again. Now you've got to start again because now you need a third one. And that one...
It's just like Spence's trophies, right?
Yeah.
Just got to start again, unfortunately.
And what happens is you buy your pack of 2. They only sell the plates in packs of 2. So you have to buy so you've always got a spare fucking plate knocking about if you got a Pro because they just didn't think about it because it's got a third plate in the middle. That's what I want. Something really obnoxious to get people angry as fuck. And I'll try and defend it. I
look forward to those conversations, mate.
Bloody brilliant. All right, I think we've spoken enough about the PS5 Pro, so let's move it on. Davey, over to you for your third and final statement.
Okay. Even as an adult, I still try and transform into a Super Saiyan on a semi-regular basis. Quick news. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero had a brand new developer kind of conference, really. It's a 12-minute video where they talked all about the gameplay mechanics, what we can expect in combat, and they hosted a final trailer which showed off a load of new characters. I'm not going to go through the full list, but if you've seen Dragon Ball Super, you'd recognize the vast majority of them. However, there were members from the Ginyu Force in there as well, so all your old-school DBZ fans will be happy as well. Now, guys, first off, did you see the trailer? If you haven't seen it, I'll just run you through kind of everything we can expect here. But hopefully you guys aren't going to disappoint me here.
Well, I'll watch it later.
Oh God.
I haven't seen it yet, mate.
Oh
Sorry.
jeez. Oh Jesus Christ. You failed me, Phil. Please tell me you've done the duty here.
Well, I'm sorry, Dave. I'm going to have to let you down because I haven't seen it either. But I don't think I'm going to hear the last about this game, am I? I think it's going to be a rather middling game, right? And we're going to be talking about this episode after episode after episode. Now, I'm a Dragon Ball Z fan, right? Like most people. Like most people that listen to this podcast, I'd imagine they're Dragon Ball Z fans as well. But I can't imagine they're as excited as you are, because you're losing your shit over this now, aren't you? I didn't see the presentation, and it wasn't really on my watch list, unfortunately. But I'll let you introduce me, because I know you'll do a much better job than me watching that 12-minute video.
No.
Let us have it.
Oh, you got to watch it's sick. It's so sick. So I'll try and contain myself here. So basically, what they said is the producer came out and he said that the entire design process for this game is to try and recapture what we all experienced in our childhoods with the Budokai Tenkaichi series. So everything has been designed to work pretty much the same way. But then what they've done is they've added in a host of new features into it. So the trailer that was happening, there was a fight between Goku and Vegeta, and they were blasting each other through walls, everything else. The damage, one of the things that I really wanted was that the damage stayed the same, that the stage didn't regenerate. That didn't happen, so the stage is fucked from you fighting through it and getting blasted through stuff. Super happy with that. They wanted to include all the same kind of button mashing things and everything else. So when you fire a beam, they clash. You're going to have an option to mash triangle, which is super cool. You've got the bars, which you fill up by charging your ki, and with that, then you can do certain special attacks and special moves. So you can then use like vanishing to get around each other. There's a brand new combo stopping system, so you can use some of your bars. So if someone's like wailing on you, you can then just like power up a cinematic will kick in, and you like take their damage and just like punch through them to be able to then reset and get yourself back into the fight, which is class instead of getting blasted all around the place. There's then another system on the side which fills up as the battle goes on, which is a number of bars which go from, I think it goes from 1 to 5. And depending on the level of bars, you then get open to different abilities. So one of those abilities might just be charging up like a Super Kamehameha. But the thing that was super cool is that it gives you option to counters, like proper counters. So if a beam's coming your way, that's then, if you got enough of those bars, you can then use those to blast that beam out of the way to not even contend with it, instead of you having to use your block and take damage. So it's going to be a really good fighter in the basis that everything's going to be based around managing your ki and your resources. Just like any good fighting game is. You think of Street Fighter, it's all about managing your drive meter. This is just taking that to a whole other level beyond just simply the ki management that made the old Dragon Ball Z games so fucking good to play. So I'm super impressed by this. Everything about it seems like it was made for us, the fans. And I think if anybody out there if their childhood was formed by the Dragon Ball Tenkaichi series, like many of us are of our age, this game is singing on every single level. And to see some of the characters return here, like I pop off every time I see Super Trunks, because I used to love doing that transformation and going from being able to compete with people, and then you're just a brick shithouse, and you can't really catch anyone, but if you hit them, it fucks them up. So I love that transformation. But, seeing Kale in there and seeing Broly and Hit is going to be so sick to play. I am so over the moon with this. I really can't wait. I think this game's going to ascend above just the Dragon Ball fandom and appeal to a wider subset of gaming. I really hope so. But if anything's going to do it, it's Tenkaichi. It's back, baby. Now, Spence, you were a fan of Tenkaichi back in the day. Has what I've told you excited you at all?
Mate, it definitely has. I was a big fan. The one specifically that I played was Tenkaichi 2. And I had that on the PlayStation and on the Wii. And the Wii was sick because you proper had to you had to do it. I had to do the motions. It felt great. You felt like a Super Saiyan. God damn. But yeah, everything you said sounds brilliant. So mashing is still in, which, come on, let's be honest, boys. You ain't want to beam battle with me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
No.
baby.
No.
I will sweep. But that counter mechanic that you mentioned, where you can just bin that off, but at a cost of your resource, that's really cool. And it could actually change, kind of like, so some characters could be good at some things. It's not just a character matchup at that point, because you'll have to put the player into account. What are they good at? How do you conserve and use your bar? You're going to have to adapt, and it is a lot more like a normal fighter in that sense. But what you said about it transitioning into more than just for Dragon Ball fans, I don't know about that. I think it is mostly going to be a Dragon Ball fan game, unless it's got like proper fighting game combat. But it's more of a fun game, isn't it? That's what it's supposed to be, and just make you feel strong and cool.
Yeah.
But I'm super excited. I'm gonna watch that video as soon as we wrap, and I'm super keen for this game. It is day one, and it's a download, not a physical,
Yeah. It's
because that
definitely.
is staying. Yeah,
It's one of those times where I'm glad that collector's editions these days have digital codes in them, because whenever the collector's edition, I'm buying it, and I fucking hope to God it's a digital code for the first time ever, because I want it digital as well, because it ain't leaving. It ain't leaving, bro. Now, Phil, you've been a Debbie Downer on this, and the reason is because you're getting your ass kicked on the Fantasy League with everything you seem to pick, so you're betting against me on this, as I put this in my fantasy. But are you interested in the game at all on any single level, or are you just being a stick in the mud because you don't like me having fun?
Well, let me just take a look at the Fantasy League here. Doesn't look like I'm last, does it? I know you're first. I know your games have performed particularly well, but I'm doing all right. Unfortunately, Rise of the Ronin, which I'm sure you're referring to, only reached the 75 mark on Metacritic. It didn't beat Dragon's Dogma, which, of course, our friend Lewis, Potato Chief Gaming, he got the 89% on that one. So he is catching me up, but I'm currently on 21 points, just as a bit of a roundup for the fans, because I know a lot of people are keen on the standings of our Fantasy Critic League. So we've got the Gamers with Spencer on an 18. We've got Alice Softworks on a 7. Then Davey, SSJ Productions on a 48. Venomous Media on the 21 and Potato Chief on the 7. So yeah, I think I'm doing all right. Second place at the moment, so not as bad as you're making out. But we'll see how that sort of ends, because we've got a couple of big ones coming up, haven't we? And you very much have Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero in this one. But everything you were saying about the game does sound amazing, mate. I can see the passion really shining through the microphone there, definitely, for sure. And aren't we glad that this wasn't one of the games that, Bandai Namco cancelled? Because we're getting it. We've had that developer conference, that 12 minutes of absolute juice that they've given us, and you've lapped it up. And as I said, it all sounds amazing, and I think it'll probably end up taking the place of Dragon Ball Z Fighters at sort of the Evo level. I can imagine it's very much set up for that, but I can't imagine it really appealing outside of the FGC, really. I think it's probably just going to sort of stay within that area. I can't see it having the same sort of effect when I'm walking down the street, people talking about Helldivers. I'm not sure Dragon Ball Fighter or this new Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is going to reach those high heights, Davey. But we can all hope, can't we? I know you've got it in the Fantasy League, so you are a little bit biased on that one. But anyway, I'll leave that one there, and we'll move on to, I think I'm next, aren't I? On the quick news. Right. So my last statement, Spencer, and you're going to love this one.
Cool.
I have more PS3 games on my shelf. And we're just talking about on my shelf with these games, okay? So everything behind me, I've counted them all up. So that's PS1 versus PS2 versus PS3. But we'll deliberate that all later. I've got one more slice of quick news for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready, mate. I'm ready.
So Bungie replaces Marathon's game director with former Valorant director. Okay, so I've taken a slice of the article that I read, and I'm going to read it verbatim. We don't get a lot of that on the show these days, and I'm not the best reading live on a podcast. We'll see how this one goes. So Bungie has made a shake-up at the top of Marathon's development team, replacing the game's directors, according to IGN. Other podcasts and other websites are available. Christopher Barrett, who has been working as a Marathon's game director, has been removed from his position. Taking over as Marathon game director is Joe Ziegler. Ziegler? Maybe Ziegler? I don't know. Ziegler was the former game director of development before he left Riot Games for Bungie back in 2022. Now, Spence, I want to come over to you first on this one. Does this impact your view on Marathon? I don't know if you're the most positive on it. I know we haven't really seen a lot. We haven't seen any gameplay, and of course, gameplay is king. But we have seen some very interesting intros to this game, and it is well hyped up. It is a live service game that myself is looking forward to. But this kind of pivot now when it comes to game director, is that going to change your view on the game?
It doesn't change my view on the game. I think it's awful whenever someone gets replaced, but it's a game that we don't really know what it is yet. We've still not been shown any gameplay. We have no idea how far into development this game is. We don't know if this was an essential change they've made or just something they decided to do, and if it will affect the game's development as much as we think it might. It does not change my feelings towards Marathon at all. I don't have any feelings for it at all until I see some gameplay. Because sure, the cinematics look nice, but that's all they were. And it's not. I think we spoke, it is an existing IP, right? Yeah, we had that big discussion in the past. So there's some things to base it off of, but until we actually see something about this new game, I just don't have an opinion on it. And any changes in development aren't going to change that.
Yeah, you're 100% right. It's very hard to sort of comment on this one, but it's never a positive thing to hear, is it, when someone that is very involved with a project leaves very close to it sort of coming out, or very close to it, you know, being talked about and presented to the general public. Because X-Men 97 had a very similar situation where one of the showrunners got let go. I'm not entirely sure. I think he was up to all sorts, but Disney very much let him go just before X-Men 97 aired. So yeah, the Bungie director, unfortunately Chris Barrett, he's finding himself in the same position now with Joe coming over for Riot and sort of taking over. So hopefully it all goes well over there, but it's never a good sign. Davey, what are your tea leaves saying this time on the new game director coming in to Marathon?
It's not good. It's definitely not a good sign for Bungie, that's for damn sure. Now, there was reports that were being circulated last week, and I don't know how much truth there is to them, but again, with the smoke, there's generally fire, and it was that PlayStation are not happy with Bungie at the moment. They feel that it's been actually a failed investment, and that it hasn't lived up to their potential for what they considered they would be able to add to the fold. Now, everything that we've kind of seen from them, and every single bit of news that we seem to relay for Bungie seems to be on the negative side since the last 20 odd episodes, ever since PlayStation bought them. And I'm kind of feeling that this is going along the same lines. They were drafted in to be able to help people with their live service game ambitions. Every single person they've attempted to help, their projects have been cancelled, including apparently the Horizon multiplayer game is no more. The fucking Naughty Dogs one completely binned off. So it's like, okay, well, is it because maybe they were giving them shit direction? Or is it a case of they just, I don't know, that their special sources somehow left? The rumor from these announcements, from this report, was that Sony looked at the management at Bungie and thought they couldn't get things done. That they were working too slowly, that they weren't producing the content that they should. And then you look at Destiny's own numbers and their concurrent player base. It's not really growing either. Especially with the new expansions that they've had come out, haven't found the resurgence that they wanted to in the Destiny live community space. So this is probably good news, to be honest, with the developer leaving, with a new director on board, because Bungie haven't been hitting the strides that Sony thinks that they should be doing, and sometimes you need to get a fresh pair of eyes in and a fresh pair of hands on the steering wheel to be able to right the wrongs and to right the ship. And Valorant, I haven't played it, but everything I've seen and all the talk about it is phenomenal. So let's get this guy on board. Let's see if we can get Bungie working and doing what they should be. As Spence said, and I think it's very important to preference here, is that it's hard to have an opinion on the state of a game when you haven't seen it. And we haven't seen a goddamn thing. So right now, this doesn't fill me with dread. It actually fills me with hope. if we'd seen the game and it was looking great or it was looking worrying, then you can go into a more nuanced conversation. But when you're talking from a place of ignorance like we all are, because we don't know what it even looks like or how it plays, it's quite hard to feel any differently other than you got to read the wider tea leaves and everything showing that shit ain't right at Bungie.
A place of ignorance. Maybe we should rename the podcast. It's not inpswetrust. Trust. It's a place of ignorance. A PlayStation podcast. I like that one. But
that's fire.
You are right. You're 100% right there, Davey. You know, I think they've done the wise thing, really, because if there is problems at Bungie, and I think this very much signals that there is, and goes along with sort of the narrative that you're spinning when it comes to Bungie, that them not showing the game and them only showing a few kind of very impressive kind of trailers, right, and CG clips, you know, that's a good thing. It's not a Silent Hill situation where they're showing you some gameplay and everyone's like, wow, the game's in a terrible state, and then you start to go down that route, don't you? Oh, there's problems here, there's problems there. But with Bungie, they're keeping it very locked doors, which I can appreciate. But maybe Bungie was the problem. Xbox are laughing now, aren't they? Laughing in our face. Or maybe not, because, yeah, it hasn't improved over there. Anyway, let's move it on before I put my foot in it with Potato Chief once again. Spencer, I want to come over to you, and you're going to give me your 2 facts and 1 lie. And let's see where we go with this. Spencer, I want to hear yours first.
Sure. So the first statement was that I had a speech impediment until I was 14. The second is that I've never flown on a plane. And the third and final one is that the first console I owned was a PlayStation 1.
Right. I don't know how you want to go about this, Davey, right? Do we get to choose one each? Are we allowed to choose the same one? Because I know which one I'd plump for.
I think probably the best thing we could do...
And I think you know him better than me, so...
I think probably the best thing we could do is that we could do like a cup... If we want to have a discussion about any of them in particular, like try and pin it down so we can try and like dig a little bit deeper to see if there's more to this story and see if it starts cracking. We can do that. Maybe ask like a thing each about something. And then from there, we then come in with a guess. And we can't guess the same thing.
It's a very similar format, isn't it? I don't know where you've got this idea from.
Yeah, it is. It exists somewhere. I'm sure that I haven't made this.
You'll be doing a Welsh accent very soon.
I certainly will do. Okay,
do you want to be my guest and ask Spencer the first question about one of his statements?
So you mentioned your first console was what? PlayStation 1, did you say?
PlayStation 1, yeah.
Okay. So was that a hand-me-down? Can you give me some background on this PlayStation 1? When did you get it?
I got it when I was 4, 5, maybe. It wasn't a hand-me-down. It was a new console. And I explicitly remember because in the newspaper, there was a coupon for Rayman. You can get Rayman for free if you take it to this shop. And I took it, and they give you a PC version of Rayman. And I was at home putting it in my PS1, crying, being like, why won't the game work? But that's it, really. And that was just the first console I had, mate. I think my nan and my mum bought it together.
Thank you very much.
Very convincing, isn't he?
He is. God damn it. What are you going to ask him, Phil?
So, Spence, when you go on holiday,
Mm-hmm.
and your parents say, Spence, we're taking you away, and you end up in Spain, and you're there sunning yourself, and you think, how the fuck have I got here? That was a long boat ride. How has it gone? How long is a boat ride from the United Kingdom all the way over to the Spanish coasts?
I've never been on a boat, mate.
Never been on a boat?
No.
So you're saying a plane, a boat, any other forms of transport?
No, I think I've been on most everything else, maybe. I don't know.
Helicopter?
No, not a helicopter, mate. Not yet. Not
Glider?
yet. Not a glider. I'd love to, though.
Okay. A bus?
Been on a bus. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got to start low, haven't we? And start building it up a little bit, haven't we? So, car, bus. Can you ride a bike?
I can ride a bike, my friend, yeah.
Okay. How are you with heights?
With heights. I'm better with heights than I am
Than
with
water. Okay.
Yeah.
Water must be terrifying for you, bro. If you can't swim, never been on a boat, you must look at like a bathtub and just fucking freeze, bro. I reckon you're just like,
bro,
nah, fuck this.
Bro, I hate the bath. I hate having a bath. I need a shower. Please. I cannot stand the bath. It makes me feel ill.
Okay. Very convincing. Well, Davey, should I go first on this one? Because you do know Spencer a little bit better than
Go,
myself.
go on. You can go first on this one.
Okie doke. Well, Spence, I'm going to stick with the one I've picked out of the hat there. So I'm going to say you've never been on a plane. Davey,
Okay.
what are you saying?
So I was going to guess never been on a plane as well. But the story he told about his Nan and the Rayman coupon is tingling something that I think he's spoken about on the podcast before. I think his first console might be a PS1, but it could be that what he's done cleverly, and he's fucked me over, I reckon, maybe, is that story does exist and he's nicked that from a separate little piece. And so there's twinkling in my head, and now I'm thinking that's truth, but I'm sticking with it. Yeah, I reckon PS1 first console.
Okay, so I did have a PS1. That story is true. So I did go and get Rayman. It didn't work on my PS1, but I did have a Mega Drive before
fuck.
I had the PS1.
Fuck.
It was my brother's hand-me-down. Ooh, and a Dreamcast. I had quite a few consoles, actually, before I had a PS1. Never flown on a plane. I've been to Spain and Greece. So I've flown on a plane.
Oh,
But I did.
Are we both wrong?
You're both wrong. I did have a speech
Oh.
impediment until I was 14.
I see. I knew you had a speech impediment, but I didn't realize it lasted up until you were 14.
Yeah, it happened. I had it for years. I think that's part of why I speak quite proper now, just because I'm always thinking about what I'm saying. Because if I don't, the speech impediment will come out.
Wow. Look at this.
Wow.
You're learning something new about us as hosts. And you've managed to pull the wool over mine and Phil's eyes. Well done, Spencer.
Is that a shot each then?
Yes.
Because we're both failures so far.
Yes,
I think it is. We need some
yeah.
shots in the dock. I think that's a shot each.
Yeah,
Damn.
that's one.
Adam in.
Yes.
Spence, you get to pick who goes next.
Let's get Phil's out the way. Go on, let's do Phil's.
Okie doke, guys. Well, I didn't want to make mine too cryptic, but I thought, what? We're on a PlayStation podcast. Let's talk about PlayStation games, okay? So my first one, I said I have more PS1 games on my shelf behind me. Number 2 was I have more PlayStation 2 games on my shelf behind me. And number 3 was I have more PlayStation 3 games on my shelf behind me. So you've just kind of got to pick which one I've got more of behind me.
Yeah.
PS1, PS2, and PS3. It's very simple, really. It's not too much background to dig into, but sure, you get a question each. Spence, I'll come over to you first.
I don't need a question. I know which one I want to choose.
I know which one I want to vote for, and I just want to go for it as well. Because I think he mentioned it on a podcast before. So I'm just going to dive straight in. I reckon it's PS2. You got the most.
See, I'm not going for PS2.
No?
I think the PS3 is roughly around when you would have started keeping games. So I'm going to say the PS3.
Oh, that's fucking smart, mind.
Oh,
That is smart. 'Cause that's what happened to me. But Phil's a lot older than me. So, and I remember him saying that PS2 was this time when he had a lot of time to play games. And his dad was buying stuff and they were buying it from the States. So I imagine he was buying like every piece of shit known to man, like all those Gundam games, bringing them all back, treasure troves worth. That's what I imagine. And he's like, come here, Willard, let's play Gundam 4. And he's like, oh, I don't want to play Gundam 4. What about 5, 6, or 7? They're not out for another 2 years in the UK. And he's like, oh, I don't like Gundam, Phil. Can we play something else?
It's uncanny to be fair. And it was Willard I was bringing around to impress. You're very much right there. Okay, just to go through them. So PS1, I did have a lot of PS1 games back in the day, but they were all copies. So those were the days where there was a CD writer involved, and we lived next or very close to a video rental store, which I don't know how they found themselves in that PC, but I ended up with a lot of copies. I think I had every single PlayStation 1 game that was available to rent. And it worked brilliant as a kid because it was amazing to have that sort of range of games, and you were just never bored. You had unlimited time and you had every game to play. So I was one of the happiest kids on PS1. I really was. But in that process, my dad, he had a shop in our local village and he ended up selling a lot of my old PlayStation 1 games. The ones on my shelf I've bought back. Spence, you bought me a few, I think, for Christmas one year as well. So I've had a few of gifts. And of course, charity shops are always a good place for PS1 games. So I picked up a few of the ones that I've really wanted to keep. So such as the games that cannot be mentioned, some of the old we talked about earlier, Cool Borders games, etc., etc. I've got those, the Metal Gears, the big names I've rebought. Okay, on PS2, that was correct. The sort of time I was going to the States quite a lot and sort of doing the importing of games, and it was a good time because you could buy games that were not out for a number of months in the UK, and you were the coolest kid in school. So I very much dug into that as a child, and really enjoyed my time playing those newer Gundam games with Willard, as you've mentioned. We also played some of the Metal Gear games, and that was the big one. I think it was Metal Gear 2 that came out, and that was like 3 or 4 months. It was a long time before it actually came out in the UK. And then it leads us on to the PS3. The PS3 was a bit of the glory days, really, I have to admit, when it comes to PlayStation, because that was the time I suppose our friendship blossomed, Davey. We played a lot of PS3 games back in the day, and it was always play a quick bit of Resistance before we got the pub, etc., etc. So that was the time where I started to get my own money and started to buy PlayStation games myself, okay? So all three, I have quite a lot of those games, but behind me, PS1, I only have 23 games because, as I said, my father did sell a lot of the games that I had originally. And then that leads us on to your pick. So Spencer, you went for PS3. Davey, you went for PS2. So on PS2, I have 67 games behind me.
Oh,
okay,
that's high.
It is. It's fairly high. But on PS3, I have 78. So Spencer, congratulations. You got that correct. 78 games. And it's just because that was the time in life where I started to have some of my own money to be able to spend, and the vast majority of it went on video games. So I have quite a lot of PS3 games behind me on the shelf, and it's a very sweet spot in game collecting because those games aren't expensive at the moment. PS2 games, if you go to CX, always have that inflated price. Go on like any of the marketplaces, eBay, Facebook Marketplace, PS2 games, PS1 games come at a premium, but PS3 games, they're still cheap. So it's always like something that maybe I pick up 1 or 2 games just to fill in some gaps that that I have on my shelf when I go for my haircut and I go past CEX. So I bought a few recently on the PS3, but 73 games on the PS3, 67 on PS2, but only 23 on PS1.
Well done.
Logic, baby.
Well done,
The
Spence.
logic. Does that mean it's another shot for both of you?
No, it's just another shot for
Davey.
me. Another shot for me. So you've managed to escape a round. So I've lost. I've lost this, guaranteed. So I got 2 shots to add. Fuck me. Came up with this idea and I'm getting fucking blasted in the ass. Right, let's see if I can get one of you guys with this then. So mine, okay? First statement. When I was a kid, I stole a cream egg from Woolworths, ate it as I ran out of the store, and then felt so guilty I threw it up. 2. When I was a kid, I played Alien Trilogy on PS1. I loved it so much I asked my dad to watch the film. I was 8. I got too scared and turned it off before they even had a facehugger attached. I then had nightmares for weeks. And finally, even as an adult, I still try and transform into a Super Saiyan on a semi-regular basis. Chance for questions, lads.
I don't think I need a question again.
No?
I think immediately I know which one I'm going for.
So Davey, we're going out for your birthday. A little bit late, right? So we're going out in Newport on Saturday night, about a month late, right? And we're going to be doing some disco dancing, aren't we? We're going to be going to Vibes in Newport. Oi, oi. Davey, I don't know if you just want to show me a couple of dance moves. Would you be happy doing that?
Of course I will, my friend. So,
This is the question.
so you start, you get down, you look, you cross eyes with someone, you say, Kame, Hame, ah, shoot a blast, or you dance in the club, like this, and then all of a sudden, the hand goes up, charging the special beam cannon, baby, and then special beam cannon, and then all of a sudden, you're in the club, everyone's dancing, the drop's about to happen, and then their arms go up, you fucking start charging the spirit bomb,
No way.
and then you just fucking, as soon as the drop happens, just let it rip, bro. Boom. That's going to be all happening Saturday night.
so
watch out, ladies.
So I don't know if I've stitched myself up because we know Spencer gets the first choice on this one. But that's enough for me.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. I've got reasonings as to why.
Okay.
But I'm going with regular attempts.
Okay, so you think that as an adult, I still try and transform into a Super Saiyan on a semi-regular basis. What's your rationale? I'd love to hear this rationale.
Well, the issue is my rationale helps Phil. So I think Phil needs to choose before I give my rationale.
Okay, all right then. Phil, over to yourself. What are you picking?
I love that he's playing the game now. He's a proper game player, isn't he, Spencer?
He's on
now
board.
he's worked out how this works. It's the final round, and he thinks, now I'll stitch him up.
I've seen the show. Sorry, not a show. There's no show. There's no show. Sorry.
There's no show. We're not copying it. We're not ripped it off from anywhere. I think out of the two, I think it's going to be the aliens one. I can imagine your dad taking you to aliens and it not being scary, but I think the vibe is scary when you go into a scary movie as a kid. You sense the tension, and usually it's excitement, but as a child you don't recognize that as much as you would as an adult, so you might misinterpret it as being, oh, there is actually something out there. And I think at that age you would have nightmares about it, because Aliens is a scary movie. Maybe not before the facehuggers, but it can be a very scary movie. So I'm going to go with the Aliens, number 2 for me.
Okay. So
Okay.
before I disclose what it is, well, let's hear your rationale then, Spence. Go on. I'm interested.
Sure. So out of the 2 choices that are left, I'd say you chose the right one, Phil. So either you or me is correct. It's definitely not the first one. Just a few episodes ago, maybe 2 or 3 episodes within that amount of space, Davey has told us he's never stolen anything. So if he has stolen the Kinder Egg now, he's a liar. He lied to us ages ago, or he's lying to us now. He says he hates stealing. It's the worst thing someone can do. I know that for a fact. I also know the story of his dad letting him watch Alien is true, but I don't think him having nightmares for weeks is true. I think he's added something onto the story, but the initial story is true. I know that for a fact. So that
It's
is
the best
definitely
type of
better
lie,
to go
isn't
for.
it? Where it's mostly truth.
Exactly right. And then transform into a Super Saiyan. Come on, look at him. He probably did it today. So that's the one I'm
That's
going
your
for.
rationale. Look at him.
Yeah.
Remember, we're on a podcast and most of our listeners are audio. So maybe you want to describe what aspects of Davey makes him look like someone who's going to transform into a Super Saiyan.
He just loves it, man. He just loves Dragon Ball. But it's mostly just the fact the other 2, I feel it can't be. So that's why it has to be this one. I've just thought about it.
Great rationale.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
that.
That objective view, right?
I love it. That's an objective fact if I've ever seen one. So the correct answer is the middle one. It is Alien.
Oh, no.
It is indeed, yeah. So as a child, and up until I was about 17, I would very regularly get in the mirror and just be like, please, God, and just try and just like, and it just would never happen. I was like, fuck. And I'd have dreams, right? I'd have dreams, and these dreams do happen, but I just know the reality. I have dreams semi-regular that I can transform into a Super Saiyan. And it's immense. And I'm like flying around, shooting beams, amazing. And then I wake up, and that reality hits of, oh, fuck, not again. But when I used to have that dream, like when I first started having it, when I was like, I don't know, 12 or whatever, every time I'd wake up, get in the mirror, fucking try and transform. Never could. But yeah, so the Alien is the correct one. So that story is completely bang on. So I went down, I remember the exact scene where we turned it off. It's when the spaceship is on LV-426 and they're walking towards it and the air's pumping out the back of their spacesuits and they're just walking in. So it's just before they get to the space jockey. And it was just too much. Just the tension that's going on with that, exploring that ship. I was like, just hyperventilating. I was like, and I knew what they looked like from PS1 games, from the Doom ripoff that was Alien Trilogy. I knew what was going to happen in terms of what they looked like. And the thought of it and not seeing it yet just drove me nuts. And I was like, Dad, turn it off. And I went to bed. And my dad's like, what the hell? There's nothing even happened yet. How do you want to turn it off? And he's like, fine. Like a bit annoyed, probably hyped that his son's finally wanting to watch like one of the best films ever made in Alien. And yeah, I had nightmares for weeks. Literally all the time. Of just the music, just the vibe, the atmosphere just fucked me up. And then I finally then, just to get over that nightmare, watched it and loved it. And my life has just been a massive fan of Alien ever since. So there we go. Well, I hope, audience, you've learned something new about yourself. It means that we have ended this with Spencer earning himself 1 shot, Phil earning himself 1 shot, and me earning a whopping 2 shots. So they will all go onto the dock ready for episode 90. But with that, let's move this on to the topic of the show. Stop! Topic time!
So guys, we have made it to the topic of the evening. I don't know how, but suddenly Davey is holding a little turd. Don't know what has happened there.
Basically all it is, right, is that I've had this cigar for a couple of weeks, and I remember saying after the last episode went out, like, oh, I should have. I've started getting into cigars. I think I'll have a cigar when we get into like a big topic, and then for some reason, I had a lot of engagement, and I was like, do you know what? I've had some good news in my personal life. I'm not going to get into on the podcast. I'm going to have this cigar tonight, and I thought, what better place? If I'd known Quick News was like as long as it was, probably would have smoked it during Quick News. But here we are at the topic. So I thought, well, fuck it. Now's the time. So, yeah.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. And what a topic it is. Boys, are we ready? So I think we mentioned it earlier on in the show, but Sony has released on Twitter just a massive bracket, basically, of video games, putting them head to head to try and decide which is the best game on that list. We have taken those games and we are going to decide for ourselves which one truly is the best. And it's kind of just head to heads. We've got 16 games on the list. And that's it, really. So I'll read them out as the matchups come up, and we'll have a sparking conversation, debate, if you will, about which one wins. Yeah, I knew he'd laugh at sparking, Dragon Ball freaking.
Oh.
All right. So for our first matchup of the evening, lads, first round of the tournament, the one everyone's watching, we have Uncharted 4 versus Horizon Zero Dawn. Okay, so those are our first 2 games, lads. Start the conversation. Which one do we think is the better?
Okay, let's recap my experiences quite briefly because we got a lot to get through it tonight, and Quick News obviously took a long time. So thank you very much, listeners and viewers, for sticking with us. I'm glad you're still here at the topic of the show because, as Davey always says, this is an absolute juicer. So we've got Uncharted 4 versus Horizon Zero Dawn. And my experience of Uncharted 4 was pleasant. You know, there was some very high highs within that game, but there was a lot of repetition. I think that was my main criticism for Uncharted 4. It seemed to be rinse and repeat. And of course, swinging around on that lasso was absolutely terrible. There were some amazing set pieces. I'm not going to take it away from it, but it did leave the series for me on a bit of a downer. I think that if this was Uncharted 3 or Uncharted 2, we'd be having a very different conversation. When it comes to Horizon Zero Dawn, I jumped into this game and immediately didn't like it. I didn't understand it. I found myself trying to do things, maybe because I was speaking to yourself, Davey, that was far too advanced and I didn't do any of the basic stuff diving into this game. And I kind of got lost and disillusioned by it. But I got talked back into playing the game, and it became, you know, a fully fledged game because I understood what I was missing out. It was a bit of a dirt moment, understanding that you could actually take over some of the creatures. But once I understood that game really started to flesh itself out. And Horizon Zero Dawn, I would class as a better game if I'm facing that off against Uncharted 4, which I am. So my vote here would go to Horizon Zero Dawn.
All right. Fair enough. Davey, mate, weigh in. What are your thoughts?
So Uncharted 4 was amazing, right? An amazing experience. And it ends on such a nice moment. And there's so many fan-only moments in Uncharted 4 that kind of make it worth its price of admission. You know, I think about the moment where you're in the attic and you're going around and shooting all the different darts. Or just when the game opens, where you're in like the Hudson River or whatever it is, and you feel like you're diving in some exotic location, and it comes up that, oh no, this is just your day job now, and you're just a family man, you're going to sit down and play Crash Bandicoot. You know, like there's all these cool little moments in it. But whenever I think about Uncharted 4, I always feel like it's the step down in the series. You know, like I don't think of Uncharted 1 in the same light as I do 4, even though 4's a much better game than Uncharted 1. But Uncharted 1's responsible for getting the franchise off and getting it going. But Uncharted 2 and 3 are so much better than 4. And so I always think about it in like a negative light. Horizon Zero Dawn, you will never hear me talk shit about that game. I fucking love that game. And the big thing about it, the reason why I love it so much, is because the story is fucking incredible. I don't want to go into it too deeply, Spence, because you don't know what that story is, but it's so well written. It's so good. Learning all about Ted Faro and what happened before the fall of humankind is a revelation. And there's a moment where you go up into a skyscraper and you're reading all these text files, and then the story kind of kicks in and it shows you kind of what happened. And it's just fucking eye-opening. And it's just proper, it's hard sci-fi that's taken in a place that I'd never realized it could do. And on top of that, it's added on with just great gameplay throughout. That everything seems to work well together. The different tools that you use all kind of just mesh together to be able to create your own play style in a way that I think even Forbidden West didn't do to the same level that original game did. For me, it's an easy choice. Horizon Zero Dawn every single goddamn day.
Fair enough, boys, which means it's 2 votes for Horizon. My choice is regardless, but I would have gone Uncharted 4. Just because I've not put the time into Horizon, and you guys do put Uncharted 4 in a sour light just because 2 and 3 exist. I kind of see 4 separately. I really like 4. I think 4 is fantastic. So that would have been my choice, but alas, Horizon moves forward. We'll give it a 3-0. No, I'll just say 1.
3-0 matchup.
There we are. Our next round, we have Spider-Man.
Oh.
Spider-Man 1 versus God of War Ragnarok. Well, I don't know who wants to start with this because I need to collect my thoughts, I think. I don't know what I'm going to say. Who wants to take the reins?
Oh, fuck. I'll go. Spider-Man 1 is an amazing experience. It's a solid 9 out of 10. God of War Ragnarok's a fucking 1100 out of 10. The game fucking slaps tits. It's incredible. It's literally my second favorite game of all time. And that is insane praise. Easy slap. God of War Ragnarok for me any single goddamn day of the week. Spider-Man's good. It ain't even the best superhero game. Arkham City's better.
Fair enough. Phil, would you like to rebuttal or are you on the same side?
Well, I kind of feel like I have to be on the same side with this one because I can recognize that God of War Ragnarok is a far superior game. But what I will say about Spider-Man, it did kick off a very, very good series with Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, and of course the Miles Morales, which we've all played and which we've all loved. We've got some slight criticisms towards the series, but I think that's because we hold the character of Spider-Man so close to our hearts. Spencer, you wear him on your arm. You know, we are Spider-Man fanboys here on the PlayStation podcast. But unfortunately, when it comes to God of War Ragnarok and Ragnarok specifically, this game is as close as you get to a perfect game. I can't say I enjoyed it to the levels you guys did, but I can appreciate it for what it is. It's like going into a museum and seeing a Picasso and not fully liking it, saying you wouldn't have it in your house, but you can understand why the vast majority of people really appreciate this artist and hold him in such high regard. So God of War Ragnarok is my Picasso.
Well, boys, you'll be surprised to find out that I completely agree. Spider-Man, bless its heart, is a phenomenal game. Brilliant, and probably the best Spider-Man game we've ever had. But it's not one of the best games of all time. God of War Ragnarok is easily one of the best games ever made, not just on the PS5, but ever. This is quite sad for Spider-Man.
It is sad.
He's
sad.
in a pulp, mate. He's choking on his own blood. He's got annihilated by Kratos. There is no way around it. God of War Ragnarok has to go through.
I think against anyone else, it probably would have got past round 1, Spider-Man. I think it is a spectacular game, and it would have fought hard against the vast majority of the games on this list.
I agree. All right, our next matchup, we have Spider-Man Miles Morales, Spider-Man 1.5, if you will, against Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Now, this one could go either way. I think I know my choice, but I'm going to let you two try to change my mind before you even know. So lay it out. What do you boys think?
Okay, do you want me to dive in first on this one, Davey?
Yeah, by all means, take the reins.
Okay, Miles Morales. Let's start with Miles. Again, just coming off the back of sort of waxing lyrical about Spider-Man 1. And yeah, Spence, you're right. This is Spider-Man 1.5. And we get introduced to the Miles character. This isn't a character I personally knew a lot about coming into the title, but I very much enjoyed where it took me. And that ride was spectacular. And it is a game I have actually got the platinum for. So, goal. The one thing that I remember the most about this game, and unfortunately it isn't the gameplay, is that motherfucking soundtrack. Oh, I'm vibing to it now. You know, it's still on my Spotify. When I'm cruising around, I've still got the Miles Morales soundtrack in my car. That's how much the music influenced me. But the game, do I want to revisit it now after I've got the platinum? Probably not, but I had a really good time. Now, Ratchet and Clank. Same sort of story in the sense that I came in and with this one, I knew a lot about it, but I didn't know really where PlayStation were going to take it, okay? Because there was a lot of new aspects to the PlayStation 5 that I wasn't really that knowledgeable on and what we could possibly see from PlayStation. But this is a true next-gen title from Sony, and it very much flexes the Sony muscles within Rifts Apart. There's lots of very fast loading times, and it uses all the different things that we have on our PlayStation controllers to the extreme. It is the best execution, in my opinion, up to this point of what we've seen on PlayStation. So for that reason and that reason alone, I would vote it higher than Miles Morales, but it's backed up with a superb IP that I've loved for a long, long time. Not as long as Spider-Man, but obviously longer than Miles Morales. And it's just a wicked story, and it's just a wicked game, and I would replay it, and I've got the platinum on it. So Ratchet and Clank Rifts Apart is my winner here.
Ooh, right. Well, I think when I look at the two, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, I never think about anymore. Like, not even remotely think about. I remember when I finished that game and I put it down, it earned my platinum, I enjoyed my time with it, and I was impressed by it on a visual aspect, and, you know, especially like the rifts and moving through them, really impressive, really a showcase of what the PlayStation could do, and it felt like the first kind of, well, apart from Demon's Souls, it felt like what the PlayStation's capable of. It felt like you're playing a Pixar game. But in saying that, Miles Morales, there's the moment straight after you go through the mall and you know, with the Rhino, and you zip up to a lamppost, and the soundtrack kicks in. And I knew that moment that I was playing a game that I will fucking remember forever. I remember just literally sitting there, and it just kicks in. This is my time. And you're just sitting there, and I was just like, I ain't fucking moving. I ain't fucking leaving. And I just listened to the entire song just while I was there, and I was like, oh my fucking God. And I was so excited. And even though it's a shorter experience, that excitement just never faded. And seeing the way they took the Tinkerer and the relationship that the Miles has throughout that entire story, just vibed. It felt small, but it felt really impactful. The combat changes, the way they incorporated Miles' powers and how he was coping with being a Spider-Man, having the city under his charge for the first time, just really fucking vibed with me. I love Miles Morales. I absolutely love it. To me, it's a clear winner.
Wow. Okay. So I
Up
actually...
to you, Spence.
Yeah, I'm actually the
Interesting.
deciding vote. Jeez. Okay, so... it's a bit awkward, this one, because I think they're of similar scale, really, in terms of, like, Metascore or how you would rate the games. I think they're similar level. But initially, I was going to pick Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, even though I hate the Ratchet and Clank reboot, but Rift Apart was really good. However, I didn't actually enjoy it until I got the rocket boots. And then grinding at the end for the platinum was a pain in the ass. Miles Morales did make us play the entire game again for the platinum, but I literally beat it back to back. I finished the game and I restarted and did it again immediately, and I loved every second of it. Miles does have those moments that stick in your head, and it's a nice, short experience that really stays with you. I was going to go Ratchet, but I think, Davey, you might have swayed me, and I'm going to say Miles moves on.
Ooh. Okay. Ratchet and Clank still class. Great game. Not everything can
Brilliant
be a
game.
winner. It's sad.
I know
It's
how
sad.
these things go, boys. Don't worry. I won't take it to heart.
That's all right. We have our next round. So we have God of War 2018, the reboot, and we have Horizon Forbidden West. Now, I'm not sure what Davey's going to vote on this. So, Phil, I'd like to pass it over to you first.
Wow, I clearly know what Davey's going to vote on this one. But let's see where I go with this conversation first, shall we? Maybe I'll try and spice it up a little bit, because I know we both will probably end up going. So, Horizon Forbidden West, yes, this game was spectacular. And it was my game of the year. Yes, there are some grumbles when we talk about combat being slightly repetitive. And then there were some aspects where it was just a bit buggy, especially when it came to the water. But the transition between Zero Dawn and Forbidden West is night and day. This very much is a next generation console game, and this is what I want on my PS5. Some of the vistas that you took in as you were traversing across the cliffs as Aloy were absolutely spectacular, and those are moments that'll go down in my PlayStation journey forever. And I'll look back on looking over that horizon and just being wowed by it, because truly, to that point, that was the first time I'd ever just been like, wow, and just put down the controller and just wanted to look at what was available. It was a feast for my eyes, that game. And we've gone back and forth, and we've had it against God of War Ragnarok, and I can admit God of War Ragnarok objectively is a better game, but I think personally I enjoyed Forbidden West a lot more than I did Ragnarok. But coming over to God of War 2018, this was a game, Davey, you very much talked me into playing. Again, didn't really vibe with me 100% when I first started. I don't have that affinity with the character as much as maybe you do for playing 1, 2, and 3. Obviously, I had quite a bad experience with number 3 because I kind of deemed it as being, you know, a Devil May Cry kind of rip-off hack and slash game. I didn't really get it when I played it and didn't really enjoy it, okay? But God of War, I did go back to it. I think I actually played it on my PS4 Pro, my art piece that I have. And it very much sang. It was an enjoyable game. I did enjoy where the story went. There was a nice twist at the end, which was a nice nod to some of the mythology that, you know, I understand through probably Marvel more than anything. But yeah, I really enjoyed God of War. So this one is actually a tough one for me. But I am going to side with my game of the year, which was Horizon Forbidden West.
There we are. There we have it. So, Davey, over to you. Rebuttal or agreement?
I'm a bit torn. If I'm honest, I'm actually a bit torn. Because 2018 God of War, I look back on it now, and I'm like, I would not go back and play that game again. Because Ragnarok just does everything so much better. Like, so much better. I don't think I could go back and play it and find the same level of enjoyment with it. I've also got to check myself, though, because when you're thinking about a series, a storied as God of War, to be able to take that out of everything it's ever known for like 7 entries, totally re-envision it, and do it so fucking well. Like that boulder fight at the start of 2018 God of War is like one of the best moments I think ever. It's so fucking good. So cinematic. And that moment, I remember showing my dad after that happened on YouTube, and he was like, oh my God, I need to play this. Like, when he eventually gets a PlayStation, which I'll be buying one for him, spoiler alert, hope he doesn't listen to this episode, he's going to play that game, and he's going to absolutely love it. So I'm kind of torn, because Forbidden West had all the ingredients to knock it out of the park. Story-wise, I think it did a really good job, and I really enjoyed where it went. But the gameplay, I complained about it at the time, and I will continue and forever complain about it, because I think they made... Whereas I talked about how good Zero Dawn was in terms of all its weapons singing together and it all kind of coming together and coalescing, Forbidden West just makes it more complicated for no reason. Like, no reason whatsoever. And doesn't really add any value or reason to deviate off and try something new. So you've got increased skill systems, you've got these new nodes that you put into your weapons, which are the big things they showed in the trailer that made it all look cinematic and everything. And really, it's all just a load of bollocks, because they could have slimmed that all right down and made it much cleaner and made there a reason to have different weapons rather than just some now all of a sudden apply different status effects. And so you end up having all these weapons that you want to be able to use because you're fighting different machines that are weak against different things, but you can't find the best weapons for it because you've got to make sure that, oh, my hunter bow that could do loads of damage, I got to take a fire one because I don't have fire on anything else. And there might be something that's weak against fire. So it kind of just undoes itself at every single turn. But the story fucking slaps tits. And there's a moment in that when you come out of when you're in Las Vegas, and you come out and you change the sky, and the sky gets lit up with different holidays, and you can pick which holiday you want. And I always think about Ramadan, and it's Ramadan at the moment for people, and there's a Ramadan one, and I always remember thinking, oh, that's fucking cool. They put that in there for people. They'll love that. So I'm kind of torn. I think 2018 gets held back by the fact that Ragnarok's better, but that's not the game's fucking fault. So I'm going to give it to 2018. Whereas Horizon Forbidden West had the same opportunity that Ragnarok does, but it doesn't deliver it. So I'm going to go for 2018 God of War.
Okay, so I'm deciding yet again. Kind of sucks that it's on this one, just because I've not played Forbidden West. But I didn't like 2018. So, where do I lie, really? I think that the issue is I don't feel any rush to play Horizon. It's not a world I care for too much. But I would go back to God of War 2018 for the Platinum and to see if my mind might have changed since Ragnarok. Because I adored Ragnarok so much. So for that reason, I think I have to give it to God of War 2018. But honestly, I think if I played two of them back to back, I think I'd prefer Forbidden West. But I just haven't yet.
I mean, vote for whatever you want to vote for. But to me, that sounds like you'd vote for Forbidden West over it.
It would, but I can't because I might be wrong. I might have the same issues you have, and it might be elevated. It's based on ignorance, you know. So I can't. I have to give it to God of War.
Okay.
Because at least I know about that game. For our next matchup, lads, we have The Last of Us Part 1 versus Ghosts of Tsushima. Now, I think probably pass it over to you, Davey, first, because I think you're the only one who's played both.
Oh, this fucking sucks, man. Because like Ghost of Tsushima slaps. It's so good. It's definitely, if you're talking about like open world games, the gulf between Ghost of Tsushima and Horizon is like infinite. Ghost of Tsushima does it so much better in like every single way. All the side activities really, really fun. Everything that you upgrade or you do has consequence. The story is amazing. I can't wait to see what happens in number 2 because there's a choice at the end of the first game. I don't know which one's going to be canon or not. So it's really fucking good. Problem is, The Last of Us is one of the best games ever made. So I got to vote Last of Us.
Oh boy. Phil, over to you, mate. Go on. Lay it on me.
Okay, well, I think it's a pretty easy choice for me because I've never played Ghost of Tsushima, so unfortunately I'm in a place of ignorance on that game, but I know it is very highly regarded, and I know it did particularly well in Sony's version of this, but it's not going to beat The Last of Us Part 1 for me, but I haven't actually played Part 1. I've only played The Last of Us Remake. I never played the original, I believe, on the PS3. I only played the remake on the PS4 version of The Last of Us. So if it's anything like that, but I believe they included some extra t-shirts in Part 1. I think that was the addition, wasn't it? And then some extra controlled AI, which I'm sure makes absolutely no difference to the actual game because it's all about that incredible story that The Last of Us 1 has. So my vote, 100%, is for The Last of Us Part 1. It's an incredible experience.
Well, I'm a bit sour on Last of Us Part 1 at the moment, unfortunately, but it is still my favorite game of all time. So, and I haven't played Ghosts, even though I'm sure I would adore it. But will I adore it more than Last of Us Part 1? It's a slim shot. I doubt it. So Last of Us does just have to move on. What game? Ooh,
Oh, fuck.
this is the one
Oh,
I've been
no.
waiting for.
Oh, no.
Our next matchup, Returnal versus Demon's Souls. Oh shit. I think for one, Phil, I just have to pass it to you right away for this.
Okie doke. Well, I've not played Demon's Souls, so again, I'm in a place of ignorance with that game in particular. But again, I know it is held in high regard, and it did very well on the PS5. Returnal, I did buy, and I didn't exactly vibe with it, but I can see it from an outside perspective, and I think objectively, this is a spectacular game. We have again waxed lyrical about how well Housemarque has transitioned from maybe an indie developer to this big, almost AAA, I suppose you would call Returnal, which very much impressed you boys. So my vote is, it's a quick one on this one because I don't really have a lot to add. My vote would go for Returnal.
Nice. Okay, Davey, go on, just say it.
So this is a tough one, right? Because Demon's Souls, I'd never played the original on PS3. And so going into this, I played all the rest of FromSoft's Soulsborne series, and I've loved every single one. Demon's Souls was the one that I put into the PS5, and it blew my fucking tits off. And it continues to blow my tits off, because I've gone back and replayed this several times. My girlfriend is actually currently playing through Demon's Souls at the moment. And so when she gets a bit stuck, and there's take over the reins, baby, and lay the absolute smackdown on these creatures. It's just got to happen.
I thought you were going to go for a wrestling quote there. Brilliant.
It has to be done.
I could smell what you were cooking.
Oh, God, right. God damn right. The issue is, right, Demon's Souls is probably the worst Souls game out of all of them, I would argue. The areas are immense. Bosses are gimmicks. And that's just what happened is they transitioned from that into making Dark Souls, which just absolutely slaps tits. We don't talk about Dark Souls 2. And then Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne, absolutely incredible, right? Returnal is one of the few games this generation that I've put a 10 out of 10. And to me, it is my second favorite game of this generation. I remember saying after I played it, it's going to take something really fucking special to knock this off the best game on PlayStation 5. And it turned out it was God of War Ragnarok. If it wasn't for Ragnarok, this would still be my favorite game on the console. Returnal slaps fucking tits. Returnal easily my vote. Not even a question.
So again, my vote means nothing. However, I would have voted Returnal too. Returnal is phenomenal. One of my favorite games on the system as well. And although Demon's Souls is awesome, the bosses are gimmicks, because obviously this is their first go at it, really. They weren't sure how to do the bosses, so they just made them all a different gimmick other than what the final boss and
the fire boss thing. He was a normal boss, wasn't he?
Well, the fire boss with the broken AI.
yeah, the AI was fucked. But it was a normal boss at least, right?
It was a normal boss, yeah. And then there was the Punisher or whatever he was called, with the big spear. And then there's the final boss, King Elant.
Oh yeah.
As well.
Oh, that's a good boss.
Yeah, and those are good bosses, but the rest of the game lets it down. However, it is still just a graphical marvel. It is, to this day, still the most beautiful game I have probably ever seen on the PS5. And I wouldn't be surprised if nothing beats it. It is amazing to look at. That being said, the gameplay of Returnal is amazing. The horror aspects when you do your first playthrough, amazing. You forget about those after grinding for the platinum. But the horror aspects in the story, which no one can quite make sense of, is really good. Returnal has to win. It's just such an amazing game.
I think about that piano boss, the organ boss, pretty much like weekly as well. Like in World 4, that boss, textbook boss design.
Sick.
So good.
Up next, lads, we have Death Stranding versus Spider-Man 2. This one, I feel like I know where it's going to go, but maybe you guys will surprise me. Davey, over to you first this time.
For me, this is easy as hell. Spider-Man 2 is worse than Spider-Man, the original. It's worse. The story's worse. Gameplay's better, sure. Story, shit in comparison, I think. It just didn't work for me. Death Stranding is so original. It's incredible. I don't love it as much as Phil does, but I still absolutely adore it. And it's the reason why my YouTube started going down review series. It's the first game I ever reviewed. I love Death Stranding with every single fiber of my being. It's not perfect, but it's goddamn close. It's fucking immense. I absolutely love it. Easy Death Stranding for me. Easy. Not even fucking close between these two. Not even close.
And that's what Davey's saying. Phil, should I even ask?
Well, it's funny because I was thinking, let's concentrate on the negative of Spider-Man 2 and try and put Davey off and get, Death Stranding to be highlighted and hopefully get through to the next part of this bracket. But what I want to do here, because I love Death Stranding so much, is save all that positivity, because I'm clearly going to vote for Death Stranding regardless, right? But I feel in future rounds, I'm going to have to try hard to win you guys over, okay? So I'm going to save all the positive stuff I was going to say about Death Stranding. Spider-Man 2, great game, really enjoyed it. Yeah, you're right, probably just should have been DLC with Venom, or they should just concentrate on Venom all the way through the game. It was good, it was fun, but it ain't a Death Stranding, so my vote is for Death Stranding, and I'm going to save all the amazing things I want to say about Death Stranding probably to the next round, where I think I'm going to have to fight for it.
Respect. I like that logical as well.
Playing the game, mate.
So Death Stranding wins, but I will say my piece. I adored Spider-Man 2. I platinumed it in, 2 or 3 days?
Yeah, really quick.
I could not put the game down. Yeah, I loved it. I was obsessed with it. But although I haven't really played Death Stranding too much, I would still say I'm quite obsessed with it. It's not come off my console since the first time I downloaded it, and I'm always in the back of my head saying, oh, I just want to play Death Stranding. I just want to play it. That's the game I want to play. But then a new game comes out and it's like, oh, on the back of the board. If I hadn't played either of these two games, I'd play Spider-Man 2, obviously. Well, Death Stranding wins, but I think I would have to put my vote for Spider-Man 2. But I cannot wait to experience Death Stranding. I was super excited for it.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay.
So for, I think our final, let me check. Yeah. So for our final matchup of the night, because we're only doing round 1 tonight, we will progress this tournament further in the future. But this is our final matchup of the evening. It is Gran Turismo 7 versus The Last of Us Part 2.
Fuck me.
Who wants to go first? Should we even have a conversation, boys?
I think we should, only because GT7, for its props, right? We're not car people, and
It's brilliant.
I'm not a racing sim guy. GT7 slaps big old tits. That VR experience is probably the best VR experience I've ever had. I mean, golf's great and all, but actually driving a car and feeling like I can drive a car is insanely good. Like with the wheel setup and everything, worth every single bit of fucking money. Haven't put as much time in as I should, and that's on me. But anytime I want to show off VR, I put them in Gran Turismo. And I put the wheel up, and I put them in it, and I'm like, enjoy. You're going to drive a car. What car do you drive in real life? Here we go, I'll put you in that car. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, and everyone's like, fucking hell, it is like driving a car. Yeah, it is. That's what it is. Except you can write your car off and there's no real damage to it. Last of Us Part 2 is better than Last of Us 1. I will fucking die on that hill. I will die on that hill. I don't care who says to me, oh, but the relationship, oh, I can't believe they did this to this character. Get over it. The guy was a bastard man. He needed to die. Last of Us Part 2 is one of the best games I've ever played in my life. Easy. And easily the game that I've cried the most at. I was sobbing through so much of that game. The story got me so well. incredible. A testament to what can be achieved in AAA gaming.
Damn, big praise. I reckon that crying record is going to change when Sparking Zero comes out. But
Yeah.
for now, fair points, fair points. Phil, mate, how about you?
Well, having never played GT7, I can only talk about what I've seen in social and what I've heard from you guys. And I know it is a spectacular experience, especially with the added VR. And I think you boys bought steering wheels and seats. As much as you guys aren't racing fans, you very much spent some time, spent some money on the GTA 7 series and really enjoyed your time in there. You know, you talked quite positively about your experiences. And yeah, I could understand that being the best that we have to offer on PlayStation. I don't really see many people saying, no, there's a better, racer out there for PlayStation. Okay, it's always the Forza versus GT7 if we've got Lewis on the podcast. But I'm very proud to have GT7 and then progressing the series to where it is, because it's been with us for a long time, and I think it's going to be still with us, for another 5 PlayStations. It's always going to be a PlayStation staple, right? But The Last of Us, yeah, Davey, you've pretty much summed it up. It is one of the best games of all time, and it is in my... Is it in my top 5? I think it's in my top 5. Maybe I'll have to wait for a short, but it is very much up there as one of my favorite games of all time. I've got to echo your thoughts in the sense that it is better than The Last of Us 1. I enjoyed this game on a far higher level, and there are so many very memorable points. You only have to take yourself back to the museum when they're sat in the the rocket, and it just brings tears to your eyes. It's just a beautiful game. It's a masterpiece. It really is. And I think this one is going to be hard to knock off. So I'm really looking forward to the future of this. Not to foreshadow it when God of War comes up against The Last of Us 2. Pretty much. That's going to be the tough argument, isn't it? So my vote is going to be Last of Us 2 on this one.
Sure. So Last of Us 2 has won, but I will say my piece anyway. I did bring this on kind of just, what's the point? Gran Turismo does deserve some respect. It is a phenomenal game, the best of its kind, in my opinion. The VR aspect is brilliant. And like you said, we're not car heads, we're not car guys, but it was to the level where it made us buy the wheel and the VR and everything and just experience it. And it is the best VR experience I have ever had as well. But it is going up against Last of Us Part 2, which I personally think is the best game ever made. It's not my favorite game of all time, just because it is a bit too long. But gameplay, story, character-wise, the pacing, I think it is, well, maybe not pacing, but I think it is the best game of all time. So it's quite an easy decision here, and I'm glad we're all unanimous. But that is it for round 1, lads. So with that is it for the topic tonight. We will be doing the next part of the tournament next episode, as maybe its own topic, maybe something with something else. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll have to see what news comes up in 2 weeks' time, but we got some exciting matchups to come. I mean, I don't know if we want to put these matchups out there for the audience right now so you can have a little debate amongst yourselves, but coming up in the quarterfinals on the next round, we got Horizon Zero Dawn versus God of War Ragnarok, Miles Morales versus God of War 2018, Last of Us Part 1 versus Returnal. Fuck no. Death Stranding versus The Last of Us Part 2. Holy shit. Damn. There's going to be some upsets on this, boys. That is our quarterfinal. It's going to be a stacked one. Make sure to come along to the next episode, to episode 89, where we will be, I imagine, concluding this. But we'll see how we get on, see how much news we got to go through. That has been it for episode 88 of In PS We Trust, a PlayStation podcast. I've been Davey.
I've been Phil.
And I've been Spencer.
Take care, guys.
Peace.
In PS We Trust is hosted by Davey, Phil, and Spencer. You can write into the show via our email, pswetrust@gmail.com. Our Twitter is @InPSWeTrust. To find each of us online, follow our Twitters, @SSJDavey, @PhilipHoy, @SpenPie_. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. See ya.